You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Good morning to you. Are you Miller and Moulton on this Thursday, the final one of the month? Thanks so much for being with us here on the Florida Sports Network. You came in a good mood. I mean, you weren't singing and dancing like Felipe does every morning. I mean, I have to admit, I have never seen anyone before 6 a.m. humming and singing and dancing as much. I mean, he did the Icky Shuffle in the hallway 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I'm aware. It was something.
Yeah. He's the Energizer Bunny over there. Although he did fall asleep for about 30 seconds early in the 8 o'clock hour yesterday.
He did. Down for the count.
Right. We were doing a little segment and we just kind of lost him. And that's okay. We understand. With these hours, he's going to school full time. It's a stretch run here. We get it. We understand. Told me he needs a day off. Says, I haven't had a day off in 2 months. I said, welcome to the real world, big fella.
He's had days off. Like when we've worked, he took vacation.
Well, no, but 2 months, though. I mean, that was Christmas. He had the vacation in between, Christmas and New Year's, that sort of deal. So, he's already...
He's still getting Saturday and Sunday off, right?
Well, apparently he's doing school full-time, apparently, on Saturdays and Sundays, which I find hard to believe, but I was just letting him go.
I find it to be a blatant lie.
Right. I mean, I'm guessing he's hooping half the time.
All he's ever talked about to me is that he goes and plays basketball.
Right.
And I don't know. Right. I don't think that's a class.
Well, the basketball is the procrastination.
So you're not going to school all the time.
I am going to school all the time.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
Why? Besides, you had Moulton doing your homework yesterday.
Really?
That's not true.
It is 100%.
Wow. I don't know.
He did research.
I was outsourcing.
You were cheating.
No, wasn't cheating. Okay, but I did get that paper started. All right, I did, and provided some key research, the basis for the paper.
Speaking of newspapers, read anything good lately?
We're starting a little early, Ed.
Wow. I'm getting tweets. I'm getting.
Hey, news to me. I'm reading the paper just like everybody else.
Someone's going to Disney World. That's all I know.
I mean, and for those that don't know what Mark is alluding to, all right, I'm lucky enough to be Gary Danielson and Troy Aikman's spotter during the college and pro football season, and maybe Troy Aikman is leaving Fox and going to ABC, ESPN, and Monday Night Football.
At least that's what we're reading.
That's what Andrew Marchant in the New York Post told me yesterday.
He's pretty good at this.
He's really good. And considering the information he has in that story, I really like his source. All right. I don't think it's Troy, but I think it's somebody really close to Troy.
Right. A lot closer than you are to Troy.
Yes. I mean, that is the funny thing. So obviously my phone starts blowing up. Marchant's story hits at like 7 o'clock last night. And so my phone's going bat blank crazy. I'm literally saying to people, do you really think I'm involved in this? Do you really think he is consulting with me? I mean, come on now, folks. All right.
Is he going to make his announcement on our show?
I'm willing to go out on a limb and say no.
All right. Well, that's all I was hoping for.
Right. I know.
Other than that, you can make your announcement on our show. Whatever you want, David.
Listen, I'm just following. I have a feeling Andrew Marchant's going to tell me what I'm doing in the fall.
I think that's a really good chance. I think it's a lot better chance than Troy telling you early on.
In fact, I saw the announcement. I texted Gary and I said, hey, anything you want to tell me before I read it in the paper? But so, I know what you know.
No, I thought it was fun. Look at when we start getting tweets, and I mean both of us start getting tweets out, and I was like, oh boy.
So apparently somebody's trying to get you a gig out of this?
No, they're saying if this is the case and you're working Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you need an assistant and a driver.
Well, not working Thursday is what, I mean, obviously. because the rumors were it's been out there that Troy had been talking to Amazon. So if he had left Fox and did Thursday or did some combination of the two, then he would be doing Thursday Night Football on Amazon. And in theory, I would go with him. So, okay. But
here's my only question. Don't Monday night games start later than Sunday night games? You're going to be a peach on Tuesdays this year.
well, actually, they kick off around the same time.
Okay.
The 8:15, 8:20-ish
Right, but you don't
range.
do night games. Now you're going to be
No.
doing night games. I mean,
Right.
Thursday, I guess Thursday night was a little earlier than Monday night.
Not much. Not much. I mean, sign on at 8. I mean, there's no monster pregame show, but, basically get to this. I mean, I guess they filled a half an hour, Fox did, and then they would throw it to the booth 8-ish, and, the anthem and, the two sideline reporters, and then, we would kick off 8:20 on a Thursday night. So I think it'll be similar, if, in fact, that's what's happening.
Yeah, but then that's Tuesday morning, already a long day for you. You're going to be grumpy by Thursday.
I don't know, but there's no Thursday, remember?
No. I mean, in here with me.
Here's the thing, though. If this is the move he makes, and if, in fact, I would be fortunate enough to go with it, I would be here more.
I know. Now you're figuring out what I figured out yesterday. Do you know how much more Moulton we're going to have around here?
So you're kind of like my wife, where you kind of are counting on the fact, man, he's gone 5.5 days a week during football season. It's kind of nice.
Counting on it, no. Getting used to something and enjoying it, that's a whole nother story. Wife texted me last night, your wife, I mean, and she said, I don't know how I'm going to keep the garage clean now. He's going to be here all the damn time.
Not all the damn time. I mean, in theory, I'd get home, I don't know, Tuesday, late afternoon, dinner time, and then, I'd be home for the rest of the week.
I know.
So instead of doing, 2 shows with you in person a week, in theory, I would do 3.
That's super exciting.
Didn't realize this was so troubling for you. I didn't realize my presence during
Marty,
football.
I need to renegotiate.
I didn't realize my presence during football season was so problematic.
Well, you're the one that likes to do these shows side by side. I will. Out of the two of us, you were the one going, well, we got to get back during the pandemic when we were apart. At some point, we're going to have to do shows together again. And I'm like, why?
Come on, the show's better when we can look at one another, yell at one another, laugh at one another.
Yeah.
Well,
you say so.
Wow. Okay. I mean, if you want, we could go back to our respective corners if you want.
Don't tempt me with something just like that yet.
We can do the show from our bedrooms. We've done it before.
And hopefully never again, to be perfectly frank.
Yeah.
That was that's something I don't need to have happen all that often again.
It's gonna suck.
Having a little fun. Having a little fun at David's expense. He may be moving networks.
Well, we'll see.
Exactly.
We'll see. I just, I do what I'm told. I'm a worker. That's all. Just happy to be asked.
Point me in the direction and let me get at it, right?
I was gonna say usually the networks pay pretty well. Okay. I mean, not all of them, but usually. So we'll see.
It's not Saudi Gulf money, but it's close, right?
Well, I mean, although quite frankly, the Saudi Golf League to me is looking like the mathematical equation that you were taught when you were in grade school. What is 17 billion times 0?
It's still 0, folks.
Because boy, they got all this money out there, and apparently there is no one willing to take it.
Little chat yesterday, tour commissioner saying, all right, you're done and you're done forever.
Right.
Just so you know.
Right. I mean, you're dead to me forever. I mean, this is Michael with the kiss at the wake type deal. I mean, man.
Greg, I knew it was you. And you're dead to me.
You know what, though, was one thing that I thought of? The Greg Norman company, they actually run a PGA tournament. In fact, I think they run 2.
They run the Mayakoba tournament.
And they run
the
Shell Houston, don't they?
Right, and then
or
the
is
Puerto
it the
Rico.
Valero?
The Valero and Puerto Rico.
So
Thought they ran 3, but he sold that. I didn't think that was his company. That's
So he sold that off?
Yeah, that company's not his anymore. Even
All
though
right.
the guys we know work there, it's not.
Gotcha. Okay. And the other thing that I wonder is that, he's had a long-standing, shark shootout, and PGA Tour players play in it. And I wonder what the fallout will be from this. I mean, we're going to wait and see how many friends Phil actually has. I mean, right now he's got none. We'll see. And I think we'll also find out, loyalty towards Greg Norman.
Well, they love that tournament.
Yeah, well,
it's a cash grab in Naples, Florida in December.
Correct. Right. And you stay on the grounds.
At the Ritz-Carlton.
Right.
Even for those guys, that's a nice hotel.
Yes.
And, I mean, it's all relative.
And even for those guys, it's ridiculously convenient. You walk out onto the course. Where's the range? 300 yards over there. Oh, thanks. Where's the first tee? We'll drive you to it.
Right. The wife and kids can hang at the pool, go to the beach, and I mean, it is a having been down here for as long as we have in this market, that is a tournament that the players enjoy. Tough to throw the host out.
Miller and Moulton, as we approach 13 minutes past the hour. A lot of things to kick around today, including, man, did that escalate quickly. On the other side, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Well, and Nick, if we don't have any organic banter, I don't know what the hell this show would be.
Yeah, but I get what Nick's saying. Because I've seen one of your shows when you guys were doing it like that, and I like this way better.
There you go.
Yeah, but if I were at home, I wouldn't have to deal with you.
Oh, my gosh.
And Felipe's thinking the same thing.
No, you want to know something?
He'd fall. If he was in here without 2 people, he'd be asleep. We wouldn't get to break.
Well, he also made and for those behind the scenes, you need to know, Felipe realized he made a big miscalculation yesterday. Had the coffee too early in the show.
Yeah.
Had the coffee
You just
too
keep drinking it.
early.
No, I had it at like 5:30. That's I have to like drink it at like end of the first segment.
First off, you should drink a Cuban. That'll keep you going right through the show.
I do black, and then I just put sugar, and I just.
Yeah, but see that little thing of Cuban has as honest to goodness, that little thing you get at the store
Cafecito, yeah.
has as much coffee grounds in it as both
Yes.
of these cups.
Yes, it's crack cocaine inside of a styrofoam cup.
So good.
Yes, but the problem is that place isn't open at 5:30 a.m.
Go buy yourself a little.
Yeah, yes, I know.
It's not that hard. I make it.
Yeah.
Maybe I should start going Cubans in the morning.
Yeah, wouldn't hurt. Wait, that wasn't like a diss though. Here's the difference.
You know what I can't wait till? March 7th.
Oh, God.
Well, and then also you've got Thursday, Friday off.
I know. It's going to be the best week ever.
Here's the thing. I like coming here. I don't like going to school.
Right. No. We know that. We can see that.
Yeah.
We know you're done. Hey, we've all been
I'm
there.
done.
Got to remember,
I hate
we've
it.
been there.
Yeah, and I also have. I understand you. I talk to my son every day. He's in the same boat.
It's bullshit. I mean, it's just nothing but bullshit.
It's bullshit, I tell you.
It is bullshit. Everything is
Tell
bullshit.
Detroit bullshit.
It is
Made me right
bullshit.
fucking now.
I call bullshit.
And then hang up.
It's bullshit on you.
He's not a college student anymore. He's an employee.
Right.
I'm both.
I don't care about the other one, though.
Yeah, neither do I.
Hey, I had to do it. Felipe, I'm with you. I got my break in the business. I got it the summer before my senior year.
Oh,
And oof, it was hard doing both full time. I didn't do it well. Fell behind in school. Ended up never getting my degree. But instead, I have this, Mark,
and you get to wake
I
up
got
with
this,
that
you know,
face
I got-
every morning.
this glorious career. I mean, obviously.
No
it was
blank,
worth
Adam.
it. Yeah, Adam, I don't think so. I don't think so.
So if Aikman goes to ESPN, would you be hypothetically, would you be an employee of ESPN?
No. Yes.
With them, you might be,
Yeah,
right?
actually, I would.
Ooh.
Yeah. The insignia on the top left check would be the.
But would they
the fuller
1099,
number.
do you think, or do you think you'd get...
No, I
You'd
mean,
probably
but it
get
would
paid.
get it from them.
Yeah.
I mean,
The mouse.
I get checks from CBS and Fox. So, I get all the emails, whether they apply to, the drill, Mark, whether you have the status or not. Once you're in the system, you get all the emails.
Deepak, how's the Fat Cats going, man? I need updates. Come on. $30 seconds.
Okay, music. In theory, I would get a couple shirts out of the deal. Well, perks right there.
4-letter network. You should ask for a shirt that just says the deuce.
No, they just had a 2. The old ones back in the day just had the numeral
The
2.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, we're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
19 minutes after the hour. Top of the morning to you, Miller and Moulton, here on the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. The starting 5, 15 or so minutes away. I'm laughing because I know where I'm going with this. Sorry to do that to you, Mark. But we have been saying for a couple of years now that the two sides in the baseball dispute really don't like each other. And we've had guests go, no, it's not that they hate each other. Like even Seth, this isn't Bud Selig, Donald Fear hate. This is just, I don't know, Seth. I don't know. Because Mark, apparently, I guess it's like me potentially sitting next to you for 3 consecutive days during football season. By the third day, you're just like, I can't take it anymore.
Right. Can you leave, please? When are you leaving? And that seemed to be what the third day of negotiations between the MLB and the MLBPA were like.
End of the third show, they said, that's it. All right. Get Moulton out of here. I'm sick of seeing Miller's face.
And if we don't have a deal by Monday, we're done.
Right. Take this Miller and Moulton Florida Sports Network. But So, boy, the owners went DEFCON 4 at least yesterday, didn't they? With the threat of 5?
Yes. I mean, it's red, David.
I mean, I don't want to make light of the situation, but I mean, we kind of knew the whole Russia, Ukraine thing was going to escalate. It was just a matter of when. This escalated really quickly.
Right. We had said all along this was a really important week.
Yeah.
And it still is, and there's still time to get things done. It's not the end of the earth just yet, but boy, oh boy, they're trying. Because baseball came out yesterday and said, we're not making up mixed games. Players wanted double headers. They're not getting money.
And a deadline's a deadline. And the deadline's February 28th, which is Monday, boys. And for every day afterwards that we don't have a deal, you can keep chopping a day off of the season. So negotiate however you want, boys.
This was the biggest threat that baseball could throw at the players. This is the ultimate scare tactic.
Yeah. This is kind of early, don't you think?
And we'll find out just how hard the players are dug in quickly. And you believe, David, you've said all along, and I mean, not saying I don't agree with you, but it's been you more than me saying, look, the players have been preparing for this.
Mm-hmm.
The coffers are as full as they get for the strike fund and all of the things that they need financially, that they're prepared. They're ready to miss multiple games.
Yes.
Well, now we'll find out how ready they are, David.
Because deep down, the players believe that this is a tactic and that basically they're calling. And they think that, first off, Monday's not the deadline. That come on, we got 3-5 days after Monday. We could go to a week from tomorrow. Come on now. We could figure, what, really? Okay, you're going to play a 157-game season? Come on, you'll make it up. We did this in 95. All right, played a few double headers. We extended the season by 3 days. Give me a break. And the owners are like, no. We mean business, man. I will say there was one player who took to Twitter and literally said to the owners, could you guys cut the crap and just make us a legitimate offer? He goes, you're making BS offers, so we're giving you BS offers back. Okay? We're waiting for you to stop playing games. You've been playing games since you imposed the lockout.
Which is the beginning of the game. Because remember, and I don't care what side anyone's on.
Right.
I really don't. At some point, I'm going to get bored with this whole thing.
I think most people are now.
But the fact of the matter is that the owners locked the players out.
Correct.
They could be having spring training. Here we are in Florida. If you want to be mad at a group, Floridians, be mad at the owners. They're the ones that are costing you spring training games, not the players.
The players even said a couple of days ago, you're the guys who wanted mediation, and we're against it. But I'll tell you what, we'd be willing to do mediation if you ended the lockout right now. There's no reason why we can't open the doors, show up at spring training. Okay, we can do two things at once.
And by the way, mediation means you're trying to work something out. What would show more that the two sides are trying to work something out than if the owners lifted the lockout and said, let's go to spring training. We're going to negotiate in good faith, by the way.
Right. And the players basically said, we have no problem taking our chances in front of an objective, neutral person in mediation. We think we're far more in the right than you. But could you end this lockout now? The reason that the owners won't do that, first off, creating the whole leverage thing, threaten them with no money, and usually players back down before owners.
Yes.
Usually, but not always. And in baseball, there was a time when the players always out hardlined the owners. That was called the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. Hasn't necessarily been the case in the last 20 years. So the owners think, hey, this playbook's been a winning playbook for a while. We're going to keep using it. But the other reason that the owners have locked the players out, Mark, is that if you lift the lockout, the players can strike. And what the owners don't want is the players to then say, well, if we don't get a deal by March 28th, we're going to strike. Or the season starts, which has happened, people of a certain age don't remember. We've had a few strikes that have occurred during the season. That was done by the players. And the owners don't want that. So they want to control this, figure we will set the whole leverage narrative now. Don't want to start a season and stop it. Think that would be more damaging.
I agree with that. I do think if they got the regular season started and stopped it, it would be more damaging than missing spring training. Not for us here in Florida.
No.
But for the game itself, absolutely.
So it certainly seems as if each side has called the other's bluff the whole way now. And they're just staring at one another. And now the rhetoric is really starting. And once again, we will see who blinks. Or, quite frankly, makes a legitimate compromise offer.
Yeah, I was going to say, who moves past the rhetoric and actually negotiates? Do we actually have a point in which one side is going to give the other a legitimate offer that's a starting point for true negotiations? Because right now, they offer a nickel, and the other side says, well, no, I need 5 cents for that machine. Here's a nickel. Nope, I need 5 pennies. I mean, they can't agree on what's the same anymore.
So the players only have one response to the owners. The owners are going, just so you know, Monday's the deadline. Every day after Monday, keep checking a day off of the season. Basically count it as a game. Tuesday's 161, Wednesday's 160. Do the math. Okay. And the owners are insistent. By the way, if we come to a deal, you're not getting paid for 162. Remember yesterday I said the players deep down feel, hey, we'll give you expanded playoffs. You'll pay us for 162, even if we're only playing 147. And the owners yesterday are like, absolutely not. Not going to happen over my dead body. Okay. The players then simply said, well, then you ain't getting expanded playoffs of any kind. You know how we had already indicated we'd go from 10 to 12? Yeah, you'll get nothing and you'll like it. Well, that's 9 figures to the owners. I mean, that's real money because they've already got the deal worked out with the TV networks.
Right.
They know exactly how much would come into their coffers if they can go from 10 to 12 or from 10 to 14.
Because it's the only thing that seems to rate nationally in the sport. Regular season games don't rate. Games of consequence rate a little bit.
So, the players looked at one another and said, you want to go DEFCON 4? We can go DEFCON 4. I love the fact they won't meet before 1 o'clock.
Well, you got to get breakfast. You don't want to do it on an empty stomach, David. I think we all know. We've seen Felipe fall asleep in the 8 o'clock hour if he doesn't get a chicken mini. I mean, come on, David.
All right. So you have to negotiate with someone that you don't like and you don't respect. Would you do it first thing in the morning or would you do it at 1 o'clock? I think I'd want to get it out of the way. So I could have a liquid late lunch and then go, and Mark, who knows, play 9 or 18 in the afternoon. I'm in Florida after all.
Absolutely. They got to get a round of golf in. They negotiate day-night doubleheader. They negotiate again at 7:30, apparently. Ask this question in the Twitch chat room. How can baseball strong-arm anyone? How the hell are they still making money when viewers drop like crazy the past 20 years? Quick, they're making more money than any other sport not named the NFL.
That's right. Major League Baseball is an $11 billion annual industry with a chance to go to 12 if they can expand these playoffs and actually stay on the field for a whole year.
And while national viewers have dropped to Sunday Night Baseball and things of the like, baseball is the most watched program in every Major League Baseball city out there, with the exception of a handful where it's number 2, and then the ones not named the Marlins where it's like number 4. But typically, your team's baseball package is the number 1 rated program, not sports program, number 1 rated program in every baseball market in the country. We don't watch national baseball. We watch regional baseball. If you're in Minnesota, you're watching the Twins, and you're watching them every damn night. And you're watching the Tigers, and you're watching the Red Sox and the Yankees, and all these networks. These deals, the bundling of cable is keeping baseball propped up right now because everybody else is paying on their basic cable package for the Bally Sports or whatever the network is in your particular market for your team.
And baseball just secured long-term deals with Fox, ESPN, Turner. Long-term. I'm talking like 8-year contracts. They basically have most of this decade planned out from a revenue standpoint. Major League Baseball, from an annual revenue standpoint, is the second biggest sport in this country. It's a few billion ahead of the NBA. The NBA is in the high single digits annually. Major League Baseball is in the low double digits. And Major League Baseball is just now trying to figure out, even though they were the first really to embrace the internet.
Right.
And, offer your team's games on your little computer for $14.99. And, people are like, oh, my goodness. I mean, they were way ahead of the other sports in doing that. But now they're going to try to figure out how to cash in on the Apple, Amazon, money that's potentially out there. Yet trying to keep those regional cable deals still valuable. And I don't know how they do it, to be honest with you, because one seems to be a direct threat to the other.
There's no doubt. And the streaming aspect of it, not being able to watch your game streaming locally, but being able to watch them when you're out of the market, is a problem they have to deal with. But the numbers are still there, and baseball's money is overflowing right now, and that's why we're in the position we're in.
And remember, they didn't have 100% attendance last year while they played the games. They didn't have 100% attendance. And obviously the year before, they played 60 games before no one. So the owners are kind of, jonesing here. They're like, man, I really love a full season. I got bills to pay. Miller and Moulton. The starting five is next. Thanks so much for listening to the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Who's that against?
Jacksonville, who's tied for first with Liberty.
Where are they? Where's FGCU?
They're third. They're going to be the 3 seed. They're going
to host a game.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they got to play 4 games now. If you're not a 1 or a 2 seed, you got to play 4 games. So they'll host North Alabama, whom they should beat because they drilled them a couple of weeks ago. And then it's crossovers. So they'll have to play the 2 seed from the other side.
Gotcha.
Which is Bellarmine, who they have struggled with in their 2 years in the league. This guy lost his mind.
Yeah, he did. When you get a moment, will you embed the poll question? Between May 1 and who cares? Did you see this whole thing that Matthew Barnaby's trying to sign with the Everblades? Or like,
and Jacksonville, they both sent tweets out to him because
he responded to the Everblades.
Yeah, it's a direct flight.
Yeah.
No,
because Steve Avery's playing. Is that
Sean
Avery? I'm sorry, Sean Avery.
At 41, signed with Orlando.
And Barnaby hates him enough that he wants to play.
Oh, they hate each other. And he basically said, okay, I'll sign with anyone in the ECHL in their division.
Right.
And both Jacksonville and the Everblades went, I
wanted to say, because I looked at his picks, he went like 0 for 4 his hockey picks 2 nights ago. It's like, I hope you play better than you're picking games, bro.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you. I think the players, if the players just continue to stare at the owners, I think the players are going to win. First off, everything they get's a win. They're not going backwards on anything. So they're winning the negotiations.
By the way, 72% said Phil talked his way out of being captain. Do the starting 5, do the poll question. Oh, we got the guy at 7, do the poll question at 7:15. Even though it's up.
No, we can do the jam in the poll question before the top of the hour and then revisit it at 7:20. I just, first off, I was reaching out to
anybody,
people yesterday, but I thought Packers again because Gutekunst did kind of his state of the team address.
Says we're going to be good whether we'll be a playoff contender, whether or not we have Rodgers and Adams.
And hey, I never promised Aaron that I'd trade him. And we're not trading Jordan Love no matter what.
Now, I will say, if Barnaby signs with the Everblades, I would get him on and put him on the show at any time because it's a great story.
Oh,
I'd put Barnaby on at 8, 7:30, whenever he wanted to come on.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because it's a funny, like ESPN will cover this.
10 seconds. Full questions up.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
As we approach 20 minutes before the hour, thanks for being with us, Miller and Moulton, on the Florida Sports Network. We've got ourselves a poll question early. How about that?
Well, it's a baseball hour, David, and it's a baseball question.
When will the Major League Baseball season start? On time? May 1st. Yeah, I don't care. Honestly. May 1st. That's my vote.
I voted May 1st. I was between May 1st and who cares?
Are you really that? Are you really in that place with Major League Baseball?
Oh, yeah. I have been for a while. And I blame me as much as I blame baseball, though. No, and I'm serious, because if your team sucks, right, and the team that I've rooted for my whole life is not good.
Although it's going to be good really quickly.
I know. In both In all three sports not named football, the Detroit teams, that's where I'm born and raised, so it's where my first rooting interest is. They've not been good.
Right.
It makes it harder to watch those sports when the team you care about has zero chance when the season starts.
But you will watch the hockey team.
Well, I hadn't. This is the first year I've watched them.
Right.
I got the package this year, and I've been watching hockey. I've been watching, and I started last year because the Panthers intrigued me. And the Lightning are great.
Yes.
I mean, the Lightning are a juggernaut. So living between the two Florida teams, as good as they are right now, is a delight. Their broadcasts are both good enough for me. They're not a broadcast that I get bothered by, if you know what I mean. I actually think the Red Wing broadcast is just lousy. That's I've watched the Visitors as much as I watch their broadcast. Mickey Redmond, you're great, but you've been doing it a long time and might be time for somebody else. But and the same with the others. You know, fortunately, the Rays get me in baseball, but the Marlins have had nothing of what we get to watch on our cable package for free. The Rays have been worth every cent. The Marlins have not.
Right. So
I think that's a little bit of it, but I do put some of the blame on myself and just not getting into it because my teams aren't as good.
So you're the person ending the relationship saying it's not you, it's me?
Oh, it's still partly. It's both of us, but it is. I at least am able to establish that it's partly my fault.
Okay. So you're only being somewhat disingenuous, if you know what I mean, when you say, no, it's not you, it's me. When deep down you're like, no, it's you. But by now, I got to admit, by the end, it's also me.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
I did go May 1st instead of who cares.
Yeah. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you're not at who cares yet. Because I'm telling you.
They're going to push me to it. I will say, I mean, how many of us right now that are putting May 1st or opening day, if baseball isn't here till May 1st, are going to be leaning towards the who cares category?
Well, all right, this is my theory, and we'll get to the starting five. I think it depends on who you blame. See, if you blame the players, I think it's real easy to walk away. If you blame the owners, all right, I mean, come on, who roots for owners? Now, we take the side of the owners, which is a strange phenomenon we have in this country, but who roots for an owner? You root for teams and you root for players.
Cowboys fan?
Well, they shouldn't.
I know.
Time now for
The starting five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, 3 days into negotiations, the owners have said, we need to have a deal by Monday or we're missing games. The players said, well, if we're missing games, you're not getting expanded playoffs, and that'll cost you 9 figures. That was after 5 hours of negotiations for the third straight day. Apparently, yesterday, the negotiations were described as vigorous dialogue.
So they talked a lot and got nothing done?
Vigorous dialogue. That, to me, sounds like a slightly animated segment of Miller and Moulton. There was literally only one new proposal on the table yesterday. The owners upped the minimum salary $10,000 a year and said, and we'll give you $10,000 raises every year for the 4 years that follow. So you start at $640 and you work your way up $10,000 at a time. The players want to start at $775 and have $30,000 a year raises. I mean, don't we all? But in the grand scheme of things, that's only a 4% raise. It's basically cost of living raises.
Yeah, you don't need a cost of living raise when you're making $700,000 a year.
Well, don't disagree. NFL Packers GM Brian Gutekunst had his state of the team address yesterday, and he did say, you know, we never promised Aaron a year ago that if he wanted out that we would trade him. We never made that promise. And Gutekunst did say, I control the roster, by the way. It's my decision. Oh, okay. Packers also restructured defensive tackle Kenny Clark's contract, saving nearly $11 million in cap space. You would think linebacker Zadarius Smith has probably played his last game for Green Bay unless he takes a massive restructuring, considering his cap hits $28 million. And the Packers right now are $38 million over the cap, and that doesn't include trying to keep, Mr. Adams, the wide receiver. Did you see this Tom Brady news? So Brady 2 years ago founded this 199 Productions company. Right. 199 was where he was drafted.
Right.
Okay. He announced yesterday he will play himself in a movie called 80 for Brady. It's a football-themed road trip where Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, Rita Moreno, and Sally Field travel to Super Bowl 51, which happened to be the Super Bowl where the Patriots came back from 28-3 down.
Good to know he's going to play himself.
I mean, I don't know who else he'd play. Love for him to try to play Belichick, but that's a whole other story. The investigation into the Washington Commanders' workplace has sparked a new bill in Congress. It would immediately end, Mark, the tax break used by sports teams towards stadiums. The bill would eliminate the tax-exempt status of municipal bonds, which are often the primary way that stadiums are financed.
Now playing hardball.
Yes, they are.
Now they're playing hardball.
Yes.
See, all the rest was just grandstanding. To be brutally honest with you, David, it was grandstanding. It was politicians getting up there to make themselves look good when nothing was going to get done. Great. You start taking away
Tax-exempt status from billionaires.
that
Wow.
will get their attention.
Wow,
You want Snyder to sell the team? This is a good start.
Well, there's no doubt about it. And the NFL, if you haven't paid attention in the last 2 weeks, has basically said, Dan, we don't have your back anymore, just so you know. Good luck. PGA Tour reiterated yesterday that, listen, you join that Saudi Golf League, you're done. You're dead to us. And not just now.
Right.
Forever.
There's no chance of reconciliation.
Meanwhile, Colin Morikawa and Ricky Fowler both came out yesterday and said they backed the PGA Tour. However, if you were to read the rest of their statements, they also both indicated that the tour needs to do better about some things. And I will say, and listen, Phil's not going to, in a way, fully recover from this. Certainly not within his peer group. But it does seem, it is interesting. It's kind of like the Ryder Cup. Okay, Phil got crushed for it. And there are a lot of people who have not given him a second chance for what he did at the press conference. I mean, he did publicly embarrass Tom Watson after Tom Watson did throw the team under the bus. And Phil went back and over the top. Okay, but the one thing that is going to come out of this when Phil talked about, hey, there's an $800 million slush fund here. You're a nonprofit. How in the hell do you have an $800 million slush fund? And transparency. We never seem to know what you guys are doing. I thought it's our tour. And apparently the players have picked up on that. Not that he was the first one to bring it up, but those do seem the two or three things that will actually come of this. The tour is going to end up being more transparent, and they're going to have to explain, okay, what they're doing with the money. That seems reasonable, doesn't it? College hoops last night. We said take Virginia in the 5. They lost to Duke by 4. We said take Providence, lay the 1.5 at home against Xavier.
If you stayed up till midnight, you were able to see that.
Game did go 3 overtimes.
I was trying to watch the 9 o'clock game on the network. It was going to the third overtime. The second half had started of the game I wanted to watch, and I said, screw it, I'm going to bed.
Providence survived in triple overtime, 99-92. Kentucky did not cover the 7.5. We thought they would at home against LSU, but they did win by 5. And Mark, you like the Gophers getting 5?
No, I liked Wisconsin laying 5. I was on the wrong side of that one.
Yep. Wisconsin did win by 1, 68-67. Texas, Houston, and Auburn, all nationally ranked, all won easily. In state, UCF beat Cincinnati by 14. South Florida lost at East Carolina by 4. FGCU beat Liberty for the first time. They got 43 from Tavian Dunmartin in an overtime win. Jacksonville finished an unbeaten home season before a sold-out crowd at historic Swisher Gymnasium. They beat their rival North Florida by 32, and Stetson lost to Kennesaw State by 4. NBA season resumes today. The new New York City mayor, Mark, is talking about changing the vaccination mandate, which means Kyrie gets to play home games. He's not doing it just yet.
Well, the playoffs aren't even close yet, David.
Right.
We've got time.
But I have a feeling by April.
This is called load management, Nick style.
The Nets, by the way, are home tonight for Boston. That's a big deal. The Nets are the 8 seed. Boston's the 6. That's the last seeding before you get into the whole play-in tournament. Nets 2.5 behind the Celtics. Brooklyn kind of needs to win tonight or else they're probably doomed to the play-in. NHL, Mark, we said, hey, if you could get to Tampa, it'd be a good one. Lightning beat the Oilers 5-3. Connor McDavid didn't disappoint. He had 2 goals, but Stamkos and Kucherov also scored 27 saves for Vasilevsky. Basically,
Edmonton outplayed him the whole game.
you got everything you wanted last night.
Yeah.
The Stars were stars.
Yes, they were.
And the better team won. Dallas edged Winnipeg in overtime 3-2. Colorado bounced back, beat Detroit 5-2. Montreal's won a couple in a row. What's going on there? 4-0 over Buffalo. Kings 3-2 over Arizona. Back to golf, the Honda Classic. It's underway today in Palm Beach. There was golf news also. Zach Johnson is reportedly going to be our next Ryder Cup captain. 45-year-old. Nice little resume. 12 tour wins. Won the British at St. Andrews. Won a Masters. Now he's going to captain a Ryder Cup. You can count on one hand the guys who have that resume, by the way.
By the way, the Honda, just for fun, for you know what and giggles, pay attention to Rick Lamb. He won the tournament in Fort Myers last year, the Yingling. He qualified with 16 guys on the Monday qualifier, had to go out Tuesday morning. He eagled his first playoff hole to get into the tournament. Always loved the Monday qualifier guys. 16 for one spot.
So you're taking a little flyer on Rick Lamb?
I just want to see him make the cut. Just if he makes the cut, feel good for the guy.
And one other note, Marshall suing Conference USA to get out of the conference as soon as humanly possible. They want to be in the Sun Belt for August. A lot of other schools paying attention to this thing, because including Oklahoma and Texas,
right?
And the SEC just sitting on the sideline going, so you're telling me there's a chance a contract doesn't mean that you know what it's printed on? And that was...
He's out again. And he's fully out. Just for the record, this is radio, but our producer is sound asleep on the other side of the glass.
And that was...
That was the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
I love how he tried to tell me that he wasn't asleep, and he was sound asleep.
Either that or he was reading his phone. All right.
Or the back of his eyes.
Unbelievable. I have a sweatshirt that was given to me by my daughter, all right, when I became a grandfather, all right, and it's it's an older, chubby guy sitting in a chair that says, no, I'm just resting my eyes. May have to get that for Philly. Miller and Moulton. Don't forget our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton at FL Sports Network. So when do you think they're going to be playing this baseball season, huh?
Opening day, May 1, or who cares are your choices. We will go to Milwaukee and talk with Gabe Neitzel next. Find out what are the happenings with the Green Bay Packers. We thank you so much for listening. Miller and Moulton, right here on the Florida Sports Network. Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Right. Well, that's the only one that counts for
I
this
know,
show.
but I mean, Otani's
Yeah.
Otani's a star,
Totally star.
but not in
Yes.
this country yet.
No.
He could be.
Oof. Would be hard.
It would be. He'd have to learn English,
Yes.
and I don't know if he speaks it.
And he'd have to keep doing what he did last year,
Yeah,
which is ridiculous.
which is
right.
legendary, right?
But you could make the case. Like, you have to acknowledge the NBA has stars. I mean, LeBron is a star.
And Kevin Durant's a
Is
star.
Correct.
And James
And
Harden.
Steph Curry's a star.
And Steph Curry. James Harden's close. And the reason I say it, not to maybe our age, not the mom test, but how about the daughter test?
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? Does your daughter know who James Harden is? And
Probably not. Okay. Probably not. She knows who the other three are, though.
right. But I only say Harden because the social media. And
Right.
He
Well,
is
amongst the stripper community, he's a star. He's
Big star.
Legendary.
But because so many people, like the one girl, I mean, I just remember there was one girl on TikTok or Instagram, hot blonde. He's passed out. She does a selfie and puts it out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's wow.
It really is super warm in here.
Well, the air just kicked on literally
Yeah.
4 seconds ago, so it'll start to get a little cooler. I'm telling you, open the door. The other thing is the noise from across the hall, Gina Birch down the hall. It may help you. Little air, little noise, not the worst thing in the world. I mean, until 8:30, 9 o'clock, no one's coming in the building that's going to make noise to disturb you. Plus, you don't open the microphone very often. It's not like a lot of noise will get in on the show. We could laugh about it if it happened. Absolutely. Mark is the first person in my life who consistently referred to it as the ballet.
That's a hockey thing.
All right. First time, Mark, I think we were at like Breakaway talking, and you said, "Oh, big fan of the ballet." I looked at you. You went. I went, "Oh, the arts."
Love the arts. Always like a good dancer. Oh,
It went in though, across the line.
I know.
Hey, I don't know how it counts though, because he touched it with a stick well over the crossbar. So I don't understand why it counts.
Tell you what, they promote all the other networks on there.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, I was
at it.
watching TNT last night. They ran through the, because they got the night game Saturday and there's a triple header Saturday, ABC, NHL Network, TNT.
And they put it on the screen.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's a good. I mean, that's the NHL insisting on it.
Oh.
And
Gabe's on hold. We're
putting it-
back in 30.
And literally putting it in the thing. I mean, that's why you see
Yeah.
it with the NFL was the first one to
Right.
do
But the
that.
NFL can get away with it.
Right. I will say though, you could make the argument, hey, we all need to grow this sport. It'll help all of us.
100%.
And
5 seconds.
If I'm having people.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Thanks so much for being with us. Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this final Thursday in February on the Florida Sports Network. Gabe Neitzel's kind enough to join us once again. He's got his own show starting in less than an hour on ESPN Radio in Milwaukee. He's also part of the Packers Radio Network. You can follow Gabe on Twitter at gneitzel16. That's Neitzel, Neitzel. Gabe, it's David and Mark once again. Thanks for your time. How are you this morning?
Good morning, boys. I'm doing all right. Other than, I guess it's a little nicer down there. We're getting snow in Milwaukee this morning, so, got to deal with that. But other than that, we're doing great.
You know what, Gabe, though? I always check if someone's Twitter out before we have them on, see if there's anything, provocative they said. And I see, one, you're a lefty and two golf shots out there. Is that just mainly to keep yourself warm in the wintertime?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt.
Now, for the record, all right, and this is the second day in a row, by the way, that we've had a Packers guest bring up the weather and not us, Gabe. I just want you to know it is not the obnoxious Floridians who are damn near having record highs that are bringing up the weather, all right? Just for the record.
It's just pure jealousy, from our point. Obviously, I don't know who you talked to yesterday, but it's clear jealousy. Like, we've gotten to that point of we're just kind of sick of it. We can't wait for the weather to turn. I don't know, you guys. I'm jealous. I've got a guy, our co-host, Mark Morrow, former Packer, 3-time for the Packers in the 90s, who's on the 96 Super Bowl team. He's got a place that he's been doing the show from down in the Tampa area. So I've had to deal with him rubbing it in my face the last couple of weeks. So it's all based out of jealousy.
Oh, and I'm sure he's telling you when his tea times are and all that kind of stuff. I know how that can get because I'm one of those people. All right, the presser yesterday. I never promised to trade Aaron. We can still be a contender without him. Of the whole thing, just I guess to throw it underhanded, how much of it were you buying?
Maybe he didn't promise a trade and say, Aaron will definitely trade you. But when you look at what they did with his contract, if Aaron Rodgers comes to the Green Bay Packers and says, hey, I want out, I'm not going to renegotiate a deal to stay here, he's got a $46 million cap hit. And with where the Packers are, it's a little bit better now that they deal with Kenny Clark, their defensive tackle, where they saved about $10 million against the cap yesterday. $6 million against the cap for Rodgers. They're near $50 million over. They need to figure out Aaron Rodgers in order to get salary cap by the new league year starts. So if Rodgers comes to them and says, hey, I'm not going to negotiate a deal, you should trade me, they pretty much have no other option than to trade him. Now, obviously, that would probably go to, some sort of place where Rodgers is agreeable because Rodgers has hinted that, maybe I'll retire, and I have just kind of bought into that being leverage in case the Packers try to trade him to a place he doesn't want to go, should that be his decision. So I'm certainly not buying that, and I'm not buying them being an incredibly competitive team if Aaron Rodgers isn't here. And I base that off of, and I guess maybe they were competitive Rodgers' first year and had some tight losses, but Aaron Rodgers' first year in 2008 after Brett Favre left, the team went 6-10. And Rodgers played well enough that season that they decided to give him a contract extension about halfway through that year, and that was the team coming off an NFC Championship game appearance. They were 13-3 with Brett Favre the year before. So first-year quarterbacks just have a tendency, even if they have those moments where they look good, those first-year starters, I should say, where there's going to be some struggles. And we haven't seen a lot out of Jordan Love. We haven't seen enough out of Jordan Love to me to go, yep, this is going to be the guy. They're going to be able to go, 10-7 next year, a wild card spot for the division. So most of it was tough to buy. And he kind of deflected most of the day, Brian Gutekunst, Packers general manager, by saying, I don't deal with hypotheticals, even though that's pretty much all anybody wanted to talk about yesterday.
Gabe Neitzel, ESPN Milwaukee, Packers Radio Network, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. Gabe, listen, I love me diva quarterbacks. I love me diva wide receivers, but I got to tell you, Man, this guy, whew, man, capital diva. He needs attention. And I can't believe, much like when Tom Brady, Gabe, after they lost to the Rams and was asked about his future, and he said, I haven't really thought about it. And 6 days later, the reports came out, he's retiring. I mean, does anybody in Green Bay really believe Aaron Rodgers hasn't made a decision yet?
I don't think he's made a final decision. I think to me, he's a human being, right? Anytime you have a tough decision that you have to make, you're going to be leaning one way or another. And I know, I think this punch-a-comic lens they talked about after the show on Tuesday, it includes a lot of meditation. So I'm guessing that was a part of any sort of thought process that he had when he had that quiet time to kind of sit and relax and try to sort through some things. He's not going into the schools. He said he was going to make a decision later. He said he wanted to be respectful of the Packers, of Devontae Adams, because that franchise tag window is open right now, and it seems that could be the way the Packers go with their wide receiver and Devontae. So the decision's going to be coming sooner rather than later. I think it's going to be coming in the next week and a half before that franchise tag window closes on March 8th.
All right. First off, how many of the new cleanse shops have opened in and around the greater Milwaukee area?
I haven't heard of any. Although one of the producers for our production did reach out to a bunch of the shop owners from across the state of Wisconsin just to get more details on Punch Thermal, which I don't know if you actually want. What you end up doing during those 12 days that Aaron Rodgers was doing that. They haven't opened.
Yeah, Gabe, we're having trouble hearing you. I don't know if it's a cell or if it's not close enough to the cell. I don't know. Final question I have is, let's just say we take the two Smiths on defense off the team for cap purposes, and we run everybody else back. They reconfigure some contracts. They are able to get under the cap. They're able to keep Rodgers. They're able to keep Adams. If they just lose the two Smiths on defense, all right, this team's still a Super Bowl contender?
I think so. I just think that if you have Aaron Rodgers, you've got a really good chance, especially when you start taking a look around the NFC. I know the Packers didn't play well in that game against the San Francisco 49ers, but without a doubt, I think there were plenty of people in the state of Wisconsin looking at that Super Bowl going, man, the Packers are better than both these teams. I think that with Aaron Rodgers, you always have, granted, he has to play well. Anytime you're giving the type of money the Packers are giving to Aaron Rodgers, and this goes for any team, when you get that franchise quarterback, you pay that franchise quarterback, they got to play like the franchise quarterback when you hit the postseason. He obviously did not do that this year. Defense held up their end of the bargain. Clearly, there are some holes that need to be filled, and I think Brian Gutekunst is going to have a really good draft, especially with his first 3 picks, and we're going to have a couple of guys, I think, out of those first 3-4 that end up being contributors just based on if you end up losing both the Smiths. Depth that outside linebacker position. You need some help, I think, at the wide receiver position. So I think there's still some pieces that they need. But with Aaron Rodgers, when you look around the NFC, especially with no Tom Brady, there's not a lot of teams right now that you're going, yeah, I'm not super scared. The Rams are really good. They've got some free agent things that they need to figure out. But at the same time, they came into Green Bay, and the Packers stretched them around in November. So I feel that the Packers feel that they're really confident against teams in the NFC. They're a great chance to go to the Super Bowl as long as Aaron Rodgers comes back and they do have the majority of that core, even if you take the two Smith brothers away from that core.
Gabe, thanks for making time for us, especially on your way into work. Have a great show today, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
Thanks, guys. Anytime.
Gabe Neitzel, mornings on ESPN Radio in Milwaukee, also part of the Packers Radio Network. You can follow Gabe on Twitter, G Neitzel, Neitzel, G Neitzel 16. Gabe Neitzel joining us here on Miller and Moulton.
Do you think with those losing two guys on defense, here's the thing. I think they're ultimately a contender if they can bring Rodgers back, period, because they're going to win that division.
Also think the very last point he made is something that we can expound upon. NFC's soft. I mean, you could do a Bengals move in the NFC next year. You could go from last in your division to a deep playoff run. I mean, Tom's out of the way. I think Rodgers is leaving. I think the NFC is going to be wide open.
Well, look, you've got San Francisco, who was in the championship game, who will not have their starting quarterback back. Two teams in the divisional round may not have their starting quarterback back. I mean, that's just getting started. We don't know what's happening with Russ.
Right. And we got teams like the Cowboys they got a cap issue. They're going to have to lose some guys.
The Rams have a veteran issue. They're going to have to lose some guys.
So the NFC, I'm telling you, it is there. It is why ultimately I believe Deshaun Watson's going to the NFC. Some general manager is going to talk the owner into, dude, if we get him, we can win now. Now.
I'll tell you what, let's go through some NFC teams on the other side. Let's see if we can start looking at who can be the worst to first.
All right.
Type team.
Fair enough. Our poll question, at that Mark Miller, at the David Moulton, and at FL Sports Network. This whole baseball thing, they're getting serious about not playing. So what do you think? When do you think we'll have baseball? Opening day, May 1st, or I got to admit, I don't care. That's our poll question. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. He'd save him $15 million, Smith. It wouldn't be the whole 27.
And I'm assuming numbers players under contract.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Here's what I don't get on this. It says it's got cap space and effective cap space. What is the difference, David? Do you know?
I don't. It represents the maximum cap space a team will have when it signs at least 51 players.
Okay. I got you. Which is strange because it's got some teams who have more than 50 signed, and that number still goes down. But I don't.
Yeah, and I wonder if they're also counting draft picks. And
I don't think so. Because when you go to the teams, like I went to Green Bay and it lists their contracts, like Alexander for Green Bay, like that's no, Kenny Clark. If they cut him, which I think they may, based on what I'm looking at here, because he saves them $28 million in cap savings.
Well, but they just redid his contract yesterday.
Okay,
they turned the thing into a signing bonus, so they saved about 11.
All right.
Look at this. Come on. Edmonton's got to do better than Mike Smith.
Oh, they outplayed. I mean, Tampa had, well, look at that. That's four goals on 14 shots. Here it is. This is the quote. He just. It's not fair because it needed to be shown again to do justice.
Oh,
yeah.
At the post, right?
Oh, inside of it too.
Oh,
look where that came out, huh?
What an assist that would have been too.
How cool would it be to get a Avs Panthers rematch?
Oh no, that'd be awesome.
What? Stop it. You weren't born the last time they played. It's not a rivalry. It would be good to get a Panthers Lightning rematch. They actually have a rivalry.
Oh, he just meant for the finals. You know, rematch in '96.
It's like the Heat in Dallas. First two times
back
each
to bed.
franchise.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
18 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, brought to you in part by Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, no matter what your vehicle may be. And if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. You can order them online or, well, go to the store. So there. Proud sponsors of Miller and Moulton. Gave away a bunch of backpacks, a bunch of Napa hats. People wanted the hats.
I did commandeer a couple hats. I got to send them north.
Oh, yeah, your kid.
That's his guy.
That's true. A little Chase Elliott action there. Yep.
And then John.
I know.
Talking a big game.
Right.
Over at Napa. Not really talking.
He just wants
to. He wants to bring Chase down, and he's trying to do everything he can at some point to do it.
And
that's great. That's going to cost me a plane ticket.
NASCAR fans come out of the woodwork. You supply a car or a driver. It's like, tell me where and when, and I'll be there. Need me to buy some merchandise? That's fine too. I'm all in. So thanks to the good folks at Napa for sponsoring Miller and Moulton.
Thought about keeping one of the hats back and going with a Napa hat all the time. Just making the full switch.
Until we get the mic flags?
Yeah.
For the Twitch broadcast, until we get those, you're just going to do the hat?
Start playing golf in a Napa Chase Elliott hat?
I will say, all right, you're letting your hair grow out.
It's the end today.
Oh, no, this is it?
Yeah, this wasn't on purpose. This was just lazy.
I was going to say, because if you put a hat on, you've got kind of the mid-'80s NASCAR look. I mean, you're giving me a little Tim Richmond action right now. If you were to put a little hat on, you got the bushy sides.
Yeah, it's not a mullet, but it's dangerously. I mean, there's curls coming up. It's starting to get really bad.
Lettuce. Right. It's lettuce.
Yeah. Okay, you're your salad there. Okay, a little Tim Richmond action is what I'm thinking, because you got his coloring.
Okay.
The late Tim Richmond. Loved me some Tim Richmond. Really did. Was my first favorite NASCAR driver was Tim Richmond. Then I went to Rusty Wallace.
Because of Miller Lite?
All because of the beer. Yep. Not the power of advertising or anything. It's not like people for 20 years didn't buy Tide for their laundry because of Ricky Rudd or anything. No, it's not like that stuff works.
And NASCAR was always the hidden gem because the huge female audience that no one ever realized watched NASCAR races for many a year. And I don't know if the demos are still the same, but their female audience was one that other sports were like, how do I get that?
By the way, Daytona 500 rated really well. Did about 9 million total. Beat the NBA All-Star Game, which I think it should. I mean, the All-Star Game's on TNT. And obviously Daytona's on Fox. Now, it's a much longer broadcast, but still. All right, did 9 million, beat it head-to-head, although the NBA's demos were better, the under 50, which you would expect. So, but a very strong start to the NASCAR season from a television standpoint. Clash did well. Daytona did well.
All right, David, let's look at some worst to first scenarios in the NFC.
Okay.
And not necessarily worst to first, but teams that didn't make the postseason that could really surprise.
Well, remember, the Bengals a year ago at this time were coming off a 4-12 season. They had won 6 games in the last 2 years, and their quarterback was rehabbing a badly injured knee. Not one main ligament, but 2 damaged.
So your Giants, 4-13.
Yeah, don't see it.
No, because they're going back with Daniel Jones. And
Right.
And not to mention, you need a lot of things going in your favor. You don't need to be one of the teams that's way over the cap.
And the Giants are probably going to clear 30 or 40 million worth of players and salaries off the current roster because the new GM doesn't want to just they need like what, 10 or so million, 12 million, I guess, to get to the cap. And then, but he wants to have working room beyond that. So I think they're going to cut 30 to 40 million worth of players. So I don't think they can make that bold a move, Mark.
I don't like including this team because this is the easy one for everybody to pick. Seattle technically finished in last place, and now that they're 17 games, they had double-digit losses at 7-10. I mean, obviously, they have the quarterback.
Right. And the receivers, sure. And they've got cap room finally. Now, this is the last year, I think, that they don't have full draft picks. But, they got 35 million in cap room. And Russell Wilson.
Can I just ask a quick question? How much longer? I think the question that a lot of people want to know is how much longer will Saquon Barkley be a Giant? Will one of the players that they'll offload be Saquon Barkley?
I think it will be. They're not talking that game right now, but I think they will be.
Both the Bears and the Lions at 3rd and 4th in the division had double-digit losses. I think we can throw them both into this category. The Bears at 6-11, Detroit obviously at 3-13-1. They're picking second.
Well, how into Justin Fields are you?
Incomplete? I don't know.
Well, no, I'm just. No, I'm not just asking you, because if you believe that Justin Fields step in, new coach, figure offensively they'll be better. The defense will still be pretty good. I think the offense is an absolute mess, though.
They don't have receivers.
Nor a line.
Or a
big-time running back.
And Montgomery's never proven to be a good running back.
Well,
a big-time running back.
Right. I think he could have been. It would have been nice if they actually gave him the ball.
Right.
So it's tough for me to see the Bears making that kind of a move.
The Lions, they're a long way away. No one can believe them doing it. But, all right, then the next 2 teams are the Falcons and the Panthers.
Okay, so the Vikings technically would not count for you, right?
No, they're 8-9.
Right, so that wouldn't be...
Second-place team.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a worst to first. That's a team that finished 1 game below 500.
I understand that. That's why I just wanted to clarify, because I think, I'm of the belief Rodgers is leaving. And I believe that Minnesota could take advantage of it, particularly if they hold on to Cousins for the final year of his contract. And I really want, if you were running the Vikings, by the way, let's just say you're hell-bent on moving on from Cousins now. Rodgers, however, decides he's gone. Do you go, yeah, that changes things, because now I can win this division.
Depends on who I'm trading him for, but yes, it would certainly change my consideration.
Or no, do you now keep him?
Well, I know, but to me, see, I'd trade him for Mayfield regardless. Either way, I like Baker Mayfield more than I like Kirk Cousins. I like the upside more.
Okay.
And I think he played hurt. He was injured. I don't.
So assume the premise that the reason that they would trade Cousins, I actually think Cousins is the better quarterback, but he's older and he's more expensive. We'll bring in the younger guy, save 12 or so million on the cap. Would you do that deal if Rodgers left?
I would.
Okay.
I would do it either way. Falcons and Panthers, both double-digit loss teams from a year ago. Obviously, the Falcons may have the best quarterback in that division right now.
Well, I mean, come on now. Carolina's the spot for Deshaun Watson.
Well,
I mean, that's the spot for numerous reasons.
And that's why, but I even, look at, and I'm not doing this because I'm from Michigan. I don't care about the Lions. But if I was going to ask you, you take Detroit, who played hard all last year. You give them a Deshaun Watson with the money they have on the cap. And you give Carolina Deshaun. That's why I wanted to go all through the teams. Like, now let's add Deshaun Watson to that team. How much differently do you think?
Well, I will say,
no Aaron Rodgers.
It's funny. The Lions are the second overall pick in the draft, and yet you watched them this year and you thought, they're not awful. I mean,
they played hard.
The defense was very representative. You thought to yourself, if you had an offense that could take it to that next level, you would have turned this 3 wins into 7 pretty easily. I mean, for goodness sakes, they lost the game to the Ravens on the 65-yard field goal that bounced off the crossbar. I mean, they had some crazy losses this year. But to me, Carolina's the spot because Matt Rule's fixed the defense, in my opinion. And you look at where things could go right. Like, hey, is Christian McCaffrey now due to have a healthy year since he's had 2 injured ones in a row? If they brought in Deshaun Watson, the only upgrades that would really be needed on the team, Mark, would be they need a couple offensive linemen. Well, they can draft those in theory.
Oh, and they could get guys in free agency. They're, they don't have a ton of cap room, but they would be able to find money.
Yes, I think they would. So, the reason why I'm not sold on Atlanta had the fewest sacks in the league. I mean, Atlanta, and I think right now Matt Ryan is only to a point. So I'm not buying Atlanta making the huge jump, but I do think a big move is possible with Carolina because does anybody really believe Sam Darnold's? The only way I believe Sam Darnold's the opening day quarterback is if they've traded for Deshaun Watson and he's on the suspended list. And so Darnold's going to have to start the year and then Deshaun takes over later on.
So,
but you didn't go to the East.
Washington was our last place team in the East. I did. I started with the Giants. Washington was 7-10. We started with the Giants, and for obvious reasons.
Would Washington qualify?
7-10, barely. I mean, the same reason Seattle at 7-10. It's tough to look at that, but yeah, I guess. Put Deshaun on Washington.
Oh, a complete game changer. Now, because the defense underperformed last year. You're kind of now you're looking at the defense going, well, whatever it was, we got to fix it. If we can get them to perform the way they did in 2020, then we're on to something here. They've got a big-time running back. They've got a big-time wide receiver. They've got a big-time tight end.
Right.
The offensive line has actually performed okay.
But they had scoring problems.
Yeah.
They were terrible in the red zone.
Right. Taylor Heineke was their quarterback.
Exactly.
He's a really nice backup. That's what he is. He's a really nice, plucky backup.
Washington, probably, really and truly, I mean, Seattle's the best team on here because of the quarterback. I don't think they're the best roster when you take the quarterback off the team.
$32 million in cap space, by the way, for the Commanders. $32 million. Can do a little something with that. There's only about 5 teams got more cap room than them?
Yeah, but they can't acquire Deshaun Watson. I don't think they can. This is the Washington Commanders football team, after all. They've got a little problem with a team in relations with women. Of all the teams on there, that you would suspect Deshaun Watson not to go to, that would be at the top of teams that need a quarterback, if you know what I mean.
Oh, there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and Washington might be on the top of the list of places where Deshaun Watson's not going. It's all great in theory on talk radio, but David, realistically,
it would be, I believe, Mark, they call it a bad look.
And this team lives for a bad look. I mean, they have defined it, so maybe I'm way off base in thinking that. Maybe they're the perfect team for it.
Although, I mean, it would be a Dan Snyder move, though.
Totally.
I mean, you can see a Sally Jenkins column now.
But by the way, the one team we've neglected to talk about because they're not a last-place team, and I've not heard his name linked to him. I've heard the Bucs say they're in the Russell Wilson sweepstakes. Would the Bucs be in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes?
You asking me?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I think they're...
Remember, they drafted Jameis. There were serious character questions about Jameis coming out of the draft. And they took him first overall.
And I think we're in a market that could give a damn at the end of the day about personal problems. They want wins.
Well, and also, they just got the fans back. They just started winning for the first time in damn near a generation. The place was packed for every game last year. They sold the suites, the whole deal. Yeah. I don't think it's out of the question. I really don't. They got a head coach who's not going to be there very long.
So realistically for Watson, the Cowboys aren't going to do it. They've got Dak. The Eagles have to be in play.
They are 3 first-round picks. Yeah.
I don't think Washington's in play. I don't.
Fair enough.
Do you?
No.
The Giants aren't in play.
No.
Rams, Cardinals, Niners, Seahawks, not really in play. Unless Seattle moves Russ, and I don't think they're moving him.
I think there's a chance.
Packers, Vikings, Bears, I don't think there's a chance. The Lions, I think there would be a chance.
Depends on how bold the Vikings want to be.
Okay.
If they're moving Cousins with the one hand and they're acquiring Deshaun with the other. But probably not.
But both Saints and Panthers are all in play.
Yes, absolutely they are. Absolutely. And Atlanta probably drafts a quarterback this year, somewhere in the first 2 days. Whether they go with their first-round pick or not, or whether they take a project in. But I would think Atlanta's getting pretty close to saying, might be time to start kicking the tires about replacing Matt Ryan in a couple of years. It's going to be hard the next 2 years from a cap standpoint, but we probably need to start thinking 2024.
But that's 5 teams, realistically, in the NFC. 6 if you count the Vikings, if they want to be bold.
But think how drastically it would change the conference. Think how dramatically it would change the look of the NFC if the guy who wears number 4 in Houston shows up. It seems like he's been gone forever. He's missed 1 year. I believe he turns 27.
Do the exercise with Aaron Rodgers playing for the Packers and just spend, when you get to work today and you're bored, because you will be by 8:45, 8:50, just pull up the NFC standings from a year ago and rank the quarterbacks.
Oof. And you see how wide open it is. Thank you very much.
Because if you say Aaron's 1 and he's still there, then 2's Matt Stafford right now.
Russ. I'd go Russ, Stafford, Dak. Probably your top 4.
Dak, 4th.
26 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right, we're going to do this. This is solid Twitch.
Are we ranking QBs?
In the NFC.
All right.
If we keep Rodgers there, he's obviously one.
I'm with your top 3 right now.
Russ 2, Stafford 3, Dak 4. I don't think you can even argue that. Makes Kirk Cousins 5.
You take Cousins over... yeah, probably.
Kyler Murray 6.
That's what I was going to say. Cousins over Kyler.
Right now, I'd have him over him. It's close.
It's close.
But, okay, so Kyler 6, Cousins 7. I don't care.
Because Kyler can
That
run
makes
the
Jared
damn
Goff
ball.
8.
Oh, no.
Matt Ryan 8, Jared Goff 9.
Yeah. You got to put Matt Ryan.
Ooh,
over
do
Jared
you?
Goff.
Matt
Yes.
Ryan's 137 years old right now.
He's a former MVP.
I don't care. I'm talking about right now.
Right, but
I'm talking about right now.
we know what he's capable of.
Right, a losing season every year. Getting sacked.
Please, Jared Goff plays for the Lions. And I would put
Was in my God dang. Saw Matt Ryan's last college game.
Are we putting Goff over Jimmy G?
Jimmy G's not in the conference.
Well, he's not anywhere right now.
Right.
You know, see, Trent and I disagree. Okay, first off, you can't take, the ratings from 1990 through 2015 don't apply anymore. We're much more splintered. Our viewing habits are different. You got to compare like 2022 ratings to 20. First off, you don't count 2021. And you can count 2020 for the Daytona 500 because the pandemic didn't hit for another month. But the ratings were similar, slightly below what they did in 2018 and 2019. That's really good news for your NASCAR. They've been on the downswing for 2+ years. This was a big rebound. Daytona 500.
Plus, David, if he leaves San Francisco, I see him staying in the NFC.
Oh, I don't know. I could see him in Indianapolis or Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
Garoppolo?
I'd see him in Indy and Pittsburgh before I'd see him anywhere in the NFC. If you were Jimmy Garoppolo, where would you go?
I'd want to go to Indianapolis desperately.
Right now, you take Jimmy G over Carson?
Well, they're getting rid of Carson. That's a
Yes.
foregone conclusion. So it's an irrelevant discussion. They're done with him. If I'm Jimmy G, I would beg to go to Indianapolis.
This year was supposed to be a really good year for Indiana.
Yeah, but they don't have any wide receivers. You go get Jimmy Garoppolo, you spend some of your money, you bring in one of those wide receivers. That team could change quickly.
You might want to pay Godwin.
Remember
They've
how
got the money.
different the Bills looked when they got Stephon Diggs?
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis could change dramatically if they went out and got a dog.
Yeah.
And you're right. Denver would look very different with Jimmy Garoppolo too.
I feel for Wentz though, and I know that people just have no remorse and they don't care, but he's not bad.
Yeah, he is.
Well,
He is. No, he is bad. Did you? I mean, he's bad. He's broken.
I mean,
He was good. He was good before he got hurt. He's not. You go back and watch the games, Philly. I'm not messing with you here. He's not good.
I will say what dogged him from Philly, apparently there is a bit of a leadership issue and just people don't like him issue also. I mean, the owner wants to get rid of him because he didn't get vaxxed, and he feels that that got other people on the team sick and was part of why they lost. Okay, so the owner's been out of shape because he didn't get the shot.
10 seconds. He's not vaccinated?
No.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Feel free to text the show if you never have before. It's all one word, FSN Radio. FSN Radio. Text that to 21,000, 21000. That's it. Your first text means after that, unlimited texting, and we really appreciate it. If you haven't watched, do so. The Miller and Moulton Show on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. And we're pretty lively during the commercial breaks. Sometimes we continue conversations that we had on air. Sometimes we go in a completely different direction. And also we can answer your questions during the breaks live. So it's a bit of a neat interactive experience. Another reason Mark Miller was in a great mood today. We picked up 3 followers from yesterday. Here, what, you heard Back in Black on your way into work?
Yeah, just rocking some AC/DC.
And then when
letting it rip. Nothing like AC/DC at 5:30 in the morning cranked.
And then when you got here, you sat down, and the first thing you saw were 3 new followers. You sure you want to cut your hair? I'm telling you, you got a little something going on right now. Just put on one of those hats. Pretend you're a NASCAR crew guy.
That really going to work well with the wife. I tried my best to do a Vidal Sassoon commercial last night, David.
Wow, going old school.
That was for you. And did a couple of, let the locks flow, and looked at my wife and said, I think I should keep it.
Did a little ooh la la Sassoon?
Yeah, did a couple of those. I said,
wow.
Put the fingers through it and said, I'm starting to get some flow here. I think I should really keep it.
And she sent you to the spare room?
She just didn't even have to. Basically looked at Frank and said, Frank, up, boy, up. You can have this spot in the bed now.
Hey, speaking of our chat room, a listener about an hour ago, we were talking baseball. And we won't necessarily go there again, but he brought up an interesting topic. We were talking the labor dispute and, the owners and the hard line and the players. And he wondered whether or not should the stars step up and make a statement here for baseball. And I replied, don't take this the wrong way, but Major League Baseball does not have a star. And what I meant was not in your sport. Like Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers is a star. Not in this country, he's not.
Right.
90% of sports fans don't know
not
who
the
he
way
is.
Crosby was, because he came in, there was just a little bit more there for whatever reason, played in the States, played for Pittsburgh.
Right. Believe it or not, Alexander Ovechkin's been around long enough right now. He's done commercials. Do I think he's a star in this country? No, but I think he's that next level down.
His Q rating's higher than McDavid's.
Absolutely it is. But I think you can argue, Mark, part of the problem for that sport going forward is they don't have what we would consider in this country. And I don't know if it's the difference between star and superstar, but I don't think the sport has one.
Ohtani could be.
Yes.
But there are barriers.
Sure.
The language being one of them.
Sure. Plays in the West Coast. Also exposure. They're not winning. Yeah, there are many barriers for him right now. But, he broke through last year, and a lot of non-baseball people even went, oh, damn, you mean to tell me he's pitching and hitting every day?
He's the guy that has the opportunity to be that type of star.
But, if Mike Trout's not a superstar by now, it ain't going to happen.
Correct.
Mookie Betts is a phenomenal player. He's not a superstar. And the superstar is non-sports fans know who you are. The casual sports fan knows who you are.
Yeah, household names, pretty much.
Yeah,
not
Colin
a-
Cowherd describes it as the mom test.
And going back in baseball, Dontrell Willis had that for the Marlins. You looked at their numbers. Miami's a star town. You could go back now and just take any season he played at, and I can tell you when he pitched by looking at the attendance of home games.
Yes, they were up on a bad
8,000,
night.
9,000,
Exactly.
6,000,
Yep.
22,000.
Yep.
Or 28,000 or whatever.
Yeah, the D train.
That made the meter move in South Florida.
Was the last star in baseball. Not to say they won't have one again, because I would like to think they would. Okay. Was it David Ortiz?
Maybe.
Probably.
I mean, now think about it. He's been gone long enough that he just got elected into the Hall of Fame. You got to be gone for 5 years.
Right. And before that, it was number 2.
Derek Jeter.
I mean, you could
Number 2.
argue Bryce Harper.
No.
Not a star. Not in this country. No way. You could line it. If Bryce Harper showed up here today and we walked him through the building, less than 5 people would know who he was. I'd bet my job on it.
Yeah.
And
You know,
that's the
someone
difference.
just texted in Tatis. Again, great player.
No, great player.
We're not talking about their abilities.
And you can be a star baseball player. Mike Trout is obviously a star baseball player. Mookie Betts is a star baseball player. Juan Soto is going to hit 500 homers and have 3,000 hits. He's obscene. He's so talented. Bert Sugar used to joke about the heavyweight division, in which he said if the champions walked down the street, you wouldn't be able to pick them in a lineup. And that is, we believe the NBA has how many stars?
For sure, 3 or 4.
LeBron, obviously.
Right.
Steph, obviously.
Yep. I think KD is.
I agree with you.
And I think Harden's close.
No, Harden is there.
You're a basketball guy.
Yeah.
You got to remember, you got to kind of step
once
out of this
again,
conversation because the mom factor. Does your mom know who James Harden is?
Of course, the beard. The beard is what is
and
recognizable.
And you may be right about that.
It's a brand.
It is. And
it is in the
because of it-
sport, and I think he's close. I'm
Okay, you could convince us of that. Although I will say if he shaved it, he wouldn't be. So, but like Mark asked me during the break, does your daughter, and my daughter's 24, does she know who James Harden is? And I would say, I don't think so.
and I don't know if my wife does.
I think your daughter would know who James Harden is.
I know her better than you. My answer is no. All right.
Okay.
But, and our wives don't know who he is. Okay. Now that's not necessarily the definition. Once again, it's a star and a superstar. A superstar, everybody knows. Everybody knows Tiger. A lot of people know Phil. There are golfers out there like, is Koepka a star?
I put it this way. I think DeChambeau is as close to being a star as anybody in Major League Baseball right now. That's what's scary for Major League Baseball.
Rory. Remember, I'm not talking worldwide, talking in the United States. And you may watch golf. And when I say you, I mean the people listening, because we're in great golf markets. But you know how many people watch golf? 3 to 4 million on a weekend. That's it. It's pretty low rated.
And you're right. And I say DeChambeau's close and Koepka's close because the Barstool audience embraced them. They did the match. They did some things that were outside of normal golf. Baseball doesn't do anything.
Jordan Spieth might actually, there's a lot of people who know, likable, came on the scene, won a few majors in a short period of time. He and Steph were represented by Under Armour at the same time when they both in 2015, 16, and 17, exploded onto the scene.
Was on the verge, but it went away too quickly.
Yeah, could very well be.
By the way, just text the wife. Do you know who James Harden is? She said the basketball player, ? So
there you go.
But someone just texted the show. By the way, you want to text the show, text the keyword. If you've never done it before, you text the keyword. It's FSN Radio. You text that to 21,000. Then you're in, and then you can just text as much or as little as you would like. But someone texted the show and said, when you said the name James Harden, I couldn't picture who he was until you said the beard.
That's the thing.
Now, someone in the Twitch chat room, DC, said Giannis. Giannis there?
No.
I mean, he's got like a Disney type of story.
Oh, there's no doubt.
It's
and
he's
great, and he's likable, and the whole deal.
And if he weren't playing in Milwaukee, it is where maybe the city hurts a little bit because they don't get the same type of TV exposure as others teams do. He gets a lot, and I think he's more of an international star than he is in this country right now, and could be because he brings everything to the table. He has got a great personality. He has got an infectious smile. I mean, there are little things about certain people that when you just see them, you gravitate towards them.
He's a family man.
And I believe we're touching on something that this is a radical idea. I get it. And I'm going to get mocked for it. And that's fine. But if our discussion, if you're listening and you believe it to be true, that baseball fans know who a bunch of these guys are, but they don't qualify as stars in this country. Well, if you're running the sport, isn't that a problem?
It's a huge problem, David.
So how do you fix it? And I think I think Rob Manfred's doing a horrible job, but he did say something out loud a few years ago in which he wondered, do we have to allow our stars to play more? If you think about it in all the other sports, football game, it's always in the hands of who? The quarterback throwing to the star receivers. And basketball, it's in the hands of LeBron and KD and Steph down the stretch. In baseball, you have to wait for their turn.
Unless you're a closer. And Mariano Rivera was a star.
Right. 10 minutes at the end. But yes.
But he was a star.
But if you're running the sport, would you seriously consider at the end of games, basically, we want our stars up. We want our stars playing.
The old you can pinch hit anybody at any time type.
Yeah. You play the first 6-7 innings by the way we've always played baseball. And in the last 2 innings, you know what? You can send anybody up to the plate you want.
But then what made Ken Griffey Jr., for example, such a household name?
He was different.
He was different. Baseball was in a different spot then.
I mean,
it is a generation ago, and baseball was in a different world then.
Griffey debuted in the very late 80s.
Yeah.
His decade was the 90s. Baseball was number one with football until the strike. Football had passed it, but baseball was a really close number 2. And Ken Griffey Jr. was the last crossover, I believe, baseball star in which guys in other sports. Ken Griffey Jr. was cool.
There you go.
The kid.
The hat backwards. I mean, I still can see him with the hat backwards doing BP.
Players in other sports stopped what they were doing. He got invited to their all-star games. They wanted to take pictures with him. Jeter had a little bit of that, obviously, the team he was with and iconic player and all that. But I thought that listener touched upon something with stars in baseball. And quite frankly, the way we define stars in America, does the sport even have one?
I agree. There's not a single one.
Miller and Moulton. Thank you so much for listening. Final hour for Tampa St. Pete Lake City coming up next. Miller and Moulton.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Internationally, yes. Because I think a few of those guys, like Luka and those guys internationally are pretty big.
Right. But
Oh my God.
in this country.
Luka is Christ
Superstar.
internationally.
Ooh, this is interesting. Altuve.
No.
No.
Fucking
But he says
way.
everyone hates a villain. Hey, he's one of the more. I don't think so either. But
By the way, RCB,
hey, we're getting texts.
Yeah.
when you're the
Okay.
best,
Yeah. Let's
you
keep
get that
going.
much publicity, man. It's as simple as that.
Like, I literally haven't had Twitch open the whole segment because I am literally on the text thing wanting to monitor it. We haven't had to do that much.
Plus, LeBron's been getting that attention since high school.
Wow. You're onto something there. Was that a high stick? He finishes over the bar. It's where you hit it.
I thought it was a high stick. I really did.
Hit it on the way. God, that is so 1984 women's
It
basketball.
really is. D3 at that. I broadcast those games.
This is a hell of a dunk.
Yeah, it is. That's a hell of a fro. Dunk on that fro.
God, West Virginia looks like Michigan in those unis. When did they get bluer and bluer?
Who?
West Virginia's always been blue, but it always was almost black blue. Just
Yeah, it got darker, right? Or no, now it's getting lighter.
It's getting
Yeah,
lighter,
I don't like it either. I like the navy blue. Navy blue with yellow. That's what West
they
Virginia
look like
always was to
Michigan on
me.
that.
I
They
know.
look like Michigan.
I want everyone in the Twitch chat to ask their wives if they know who James Harden is today. Every single one. Ask your wife, do you know who James Harden is? And then if they say no,
Honey,
show 'em a picture.
listen, I'll pick up the kids. All right. Yep. We'll be home about 5:15, 5:30. Love you. Oh, wait. Sorry. One question before I go. It's not the worst question I ever asked. Doing a little R&D for Miller and Moulton. All right, honey. Do you know who Harden is?
Because that's the thing. The answer is typically the dude with the beard.
I need 10 interns.
10 interns?
Yeah.
Are you like Alabama? You're for the coaching staff? Give them all a red golf shirt or interns?
If I
or
had golf shirts, I'd give them to them. I have jobs for all of them.
interns or analysts?
Interns. Analysts get paid.
Klecko, if it comes to fruition, no goosebumps, to be brutally honest with you.
It also helped with, because you said Big Papi was the last household name, which I agree with. It also helped that he had a glorious nickname.
Hey,
No,
look,
everything.
Moulton, here's the thing. If this whole thing happens and you're working Monday Night Football and they bring the gold jackets back and I don't get one picture of you wearing the jacket.
Oh, you
Well,
better
the funny,
put on that jacket.
well, the funny thing is that I don't know if they bring the gold jackets back, but Aikman has a gold jacket,
Wow,
obviously.
I'm aware.
Because he's done Monday Night before?
No, because he's in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's right.
The gold jacket.
The gold jacket.
Right.
Oh, that gold jacket. I get you.
It would be something if Al was doing it with him, though. I got to admit, that would be cool.
Well, it sounds like they're making a hell of a play for it, aren't they?
Well, I mean, if you had a choice between Al or Steve Levy, who would you choose?
Well, first off, Troy ain't working with Steve Levy.
Yes. Hey,
10 seconds.
hey, you get paid that much money, you work with who they tell you.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the final hour of Miller and Moulton in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, and Port Charlotte and Venice on 1070 The Zone. We are Miller and Moulton, halfway home in the 239 on the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us on this final Thursday of February. Kicking a few things around today, the biggest of which, believe it or not, a little baseball talk, not your standard baseball talk, though.
Thank goodness.
Right, because we know most of you would then, drive off into a tree, and then we don't want that. All right. Although the owners have went DEFCON 4 on the players, and the players in turn went DEFCON 4 back on the owners, and so this is going well.
Going absolutely horribly.
And that's why it's the focus of our poll question.
That's really where this whole thing started, is when is the MLB season going to start? Opening day on time, May 1st, or who cares? That's winning. 53% of the vote is who cares.
By the way, for the record, we did it during the break on Twitch, but yesterday's poll question was, did we think that what's gone on here, Phil sticking his foot in his mouth, whether or not this is going to cost him a Ryder Cup captaincy?
And overwhelmingly, our audience thought that it would. 72% of the audience said he will never be a Ryder Cup captain.
And that might have been the lowest percentage of the day also. I mean, it started over 75%, was at low 80s at one point. For the record, I still believe he will be a Ryder Cup captain. Although apparently Zach Johnson is going to be made official on Monday, is going to be the Ryder Cup captain. He's a current player. He's 45. I mean, that is interesting. They usually wait until you're a Champions Tour guy before they make you the captain. The LPGA did the same thing with the Solheim Cup too. Stacey Lewis. I mean, I think she's 37, and she's still, very active on leaderboards all the time, and she's going to be the U.S. captain.
Zach, on the other hand, not on leaderboards all the time.
No. I think the length thing is finally caught up.
Finally did.
Right.
Every once in a while, he'll still play a Masters and shoot a competitive score because he knows how to get around the course. So there's a certain U.S. Open. Zach can make cuts.
Heading to St. Andrews this year where he won.
Right. He'll play well there.
Right.
The text line is open and as busy as it's ever been.
Because a listener just threw it out there saying, hey, could the stars of baseball help this dispute? Could they show up and step up and what have you? And it got us to thinking, stars. There's a star within your sport, like Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews, and others in hockey. Most of you have no idea who they are, and you have heard of them, but if they were standing in front of you in line, you wouldn't recognize them. That's not a star in this country. A star is you go, and you take your phone out and you start snapping pictures and what have you.
And you know who it is immediately when you see them.
Right.
And that's why I think Harden's really close. And Felipe's right. It's the beard. But if you saw James Harden, a 6'4" guy with a beard, 6'5", whatever he is, with a beard that's down to the middle of his chest,
right,
I think you do a double take and go, wait a minute, I know who that is.
But who is it who sent you a text that said they know Harden because of who he dated?
My wife knew Harden because he dated Khloe Kardashian. Still passes.
Yeah.
And that was the reason that I was on the Harden being a star, is that I know from a social media standpoint, he's lived a very provocative life that's been on social media.
Yes.
And that's why I think, women between the ages of 18 and 34 probably have a really good idea who it is because of his dating life.
Yep.
And his social media prowess, if you will.
I'd say NBA players are probably, from a social media standpoint, the coolest.
I would agree with
I
that.
would agree with that.
Yeah.
And the world that they're in is also a social media world.
Exactly.
I mean, they're also, they've all dated a Kardashian, it seems.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like, can you get a Joe Burrow? I mean, if you can date a Kardashian,
you date one.
Why not?
You know that there's an all-team Kendall Kardashian. Point guard, small forward, shooting guard, power forward.
All right. Okay.
We get it.
Yep.
Thank you for the explanation, though, Felipe. This person makes, and I don't know if they're right on the total number, but it makes an interesting point on the text line. It's crazy when you think about the stars of MLB and NBA from the 90s and early 2000s versus today. The general public had 10 to 20 from each sport that were legitimate stars, people everyone knew. I don't know if his number's right. I think 10's probably closer than 20. But we were talking about Ken Griffey Jr. during the break. Is that he was just cool.
Yes. He was a superstar. He looked great, good-looking guy, had the beautiful swing. Okay, roamed center field in Seattle as if he was just, a cat going from alley to alley, climbing the walls. And yeah, Ken Griffey Jr. was a beautiful player to watch. He really was.
And he was a great-looking dude. He had
Yes.
a great smile. He had the whole thing. It's still the prettiest swing that's ever.
Right.
Some Eric Davis other people might, they like that when it went out of the ballpark. But, and it's funny, people trying to find the baseball star. Is Kershaw a star? He got 30 seconds of recognition, in the stands with because of Stafford. No, he's not a star.
No.
He was a baseball star.
We think we're willing to go with Felipe on Harden.
Yes.
We're willing to that he just will meet the threshold, between celebrity and the beard and his ability to play and all that. Fine.
That's 4.
That's 4 in the NBA, none in the NHL. I mean, right? I mean, for as much as you and I love
the sport.
Right. And obviously we could rattle off 50 great players right now.
Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin are the 2 biggest stars in the game, not the best players.
Right.
I would say they're the 2 biggest stars, and I don't think they meet that threshold.
No, they don't. They're in the area code. Okay. But no.
Someone on the text line, it's interesting. There's a person who listens to sports radio but doesn't know who James Harden is. It's because people who listen to sports talk radio are largely football fans. You happen to be, sir, a sports fan, and we thank you. But over the years of us doing it, particularly in this building where there's 74 radio stations, there were years when we were doing afternoons that some of the people in the other stations would walk by, hey, I'll listen again in August and September.
Right.
I'm checking out now. Football's over.
Right.
Might catch a show around the draft.
You guys were terrific. I'll see you in 7 months. And therefore, does baseball have a star? And we actually contend they don't. Mike, I'm sorry. All the people in your life, how many of them would recognize Mike Trout if he walked in the room and shook your hand?
I don't know if I would.
Felipe mentioned Bryce Harper. No.
I know who Harper was. Walking into a room, I know who Harper was before Trout.
Okay.
I think Harper's Q rating's far higher than Trout's. Doesn't mean he's ever close to the player. I'm just saying he's more popular of a human being than Mike Trout is.
Right. One of the top 3 players in the game is Mookie Betts. Not a star, not a superstar. And if you're Major League Baseball going forward, do you change your marketing? You've always marketed the front of the jersey. You've never marketed, however, above the shoulders.
And that's all basketball ever did.
And football, despite having helmets on. So, and then it got me to saying, if you're baseball, if you want to change things, don't you think, why is it that we like the other sports? Nobody pinch hits for Tiger down the stretch of a golf tournament, right? If you're watching a tennis match, nobody steps in for Nadal. So now we get to a team sport. Even in our, beloved hockey, Mark, down the stretch of games, they will double shift the you-know-what out of the best players.
In fact, watching Tampa and Edmonton last night, the color commentator on TNT criticized Edmonton openly because with 3 minutes left, they didn't take their timeout. And he's like, you take your timeout now so you can have McDavid and Draisaitl play basically the rest of the game.
Correct.
And lambasted the coach for not taking a timeout to keep his stars in longer.
Obviously, in the NBA, the stars are on the floor, the ball's in their hand, down the stretch of games. And we all know in the NFL, obviously, because of the nature of the game, ball's in the quarterback's hands, and he's throwing it to his best receivers pretty much on the final drives of games.
But even in the Super Bowl, and Aaron Donald's not in the superstar status, but what was the last play that we remember? Was the big even then? Well, you've got the quarterback, but you've got the star on the other side who's trying to sack the quarterback, and that happened to work out where you had two stars in the play at the end of the game.
And I wondered, there's that very simple, innocent question, which was meant to discuss the labor situation. Hey, should baseball send their stars in? I think part of why the sport doesn't have the national appeal, Mark, that it used to have. Derek Jeter had national appeal. David Ortiz had national appeal. Appeal is way too positive a word, but Alex Rodriguez had national notoriety. I mean, say whatever you want. A-Rod's a star. You know who he is. He pops up on the screen and you go, that's A-Rod. For various reasons,
but it
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Right. Now, obviously, Ortiz is now in the Hall of Fame. Jeter's now in the Hall of Fame. A-Rod became eligible for the Hall of Fame. So they've been done playing for a while. And it seems as if that here we are, more media than ever, every single game televised, and yet baseball's players have less notoriety. There are fewer stars in the game now than ever before. And we can argue that the sport's never had more terrific players. I mean, the talent that's in the sport is the best it's ever been. Athletes are bigger, stronger, faster. They play the game differently. They do. They don't put the ball in play as much and what have you. But the talent that is out there is remarkable.
Marketed differently, though. David, you and I grew up now, this is generations ago, where This Week in Baseball was more popular than any baseball game that was on. I remember I had friends who didn't like baseball and thought This Week in Baseball was the best show on television.
Klecko in our Twitch chat room says, if Trout were in New York, Boston, or Chicago, would things be different? Yes, for this reason. He and they would have won.
And I thought that was I was just about to make the point when it comes to how long are we now without a Yankees World Series, David?
Oh, Mark.
09.
I mean, we've gone a whole decade
Well,
plus.
there you go. No, I'm not joking, though. Part of the way the sport is now marketed, they nauseate us with Yankees-Red Sox games. National broadcast are the Yankees more times than not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they're not winning World Series and they have a couple guys that are close that can't stay healthy. We thought Giancarlo was going to be a star.
Aaron Judge, could he become a star?
Could he? Yes.
He is in New York. Jersey Mike's made him the face of their national advertising campaign a year ago. All right. I thought that in and of itself, I was like, wow, that's pretty good for baseball.
You're right. But, I'm thinking about that. There's not one baseball player in those Subway ads. Is there?
No.
There's not a baseball player in this.
I think they tried to squeeze in Trout, but it was awkward.
But I just saw Simone Biles in one yesterday.
Yeah.
It's Steph Curry and
Serena
Simone
Brady.
Biles.
Right.
Hell.
And Chuck too. But yeah, it's Chuck, Simone Biles, and Steph Curry. And they both are interrupting Steph. Yeah. And it's funny. It's well done. And you know me, I like Subway less than I like Outback.
Okay, and we'll just stop it there.
I love me some Jersey Mike's, but
Right.
it ain't Subway from a national marketing standpoint. No, I mean,
Right.
hey, I may not like it, but they're the most popular sub chain that there is out there.
Right. Not what they were, but yeah, I think they're still number one.
They're one of the most popular chains, period.
Yeah, not as popular as they were, though, but yes. But I think, though, I do have a solution. I would change the rules of the game beginning with the 7th inning. I would let you put up anyone you want to the plate in every inning. You could send your 2, 3, 4 hitters out there in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. It's fine by me. Honestly. I mean, don't you as a fan, if you're watching, whether in person or on TV, don't you want to see the best players? I mean, that to me used to define a star. Like, I grew up a Mets fan, and Darryl Strawberry had it for me. I would always know where he was in the lineup and how long it was till he came up. And I could not miss a Strawberry at bat. Well, I think if you're baseball, you need to get it in which you say, well, we're going to make it so you can't miss a Mike Trout at bat. He's going to hit the 7th, 8th, and 9th every game. Unless he's really struggling.
And while everybody thinks that's crazy, when we come back, I'll tell you why David is more right than he is wrong. And I don't think it's close. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. The Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know what's really sad, Mark?
What's really sad, Felipe?
You mentioned that effect that Dontrell Willis had with the Marlins, how you could obviously know Jose Fernandez had that exact same effect.
Attendance-wise?
Yes. When's Jose pitching? Let's go. Hell, he had his own section in the stadium.
I don't ever remember the Marlins drawing big crowds while he was there.
Well, whenever...
I mean, Dontrell was selling out games.
But
at pro player.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. When you have a second, look at Fernandez's last year. Look at his starts and look at his attendance, home attendance compared to other games. Then go look at any of the D-Train's years.
Well, yeah,
it was 3-1. And I don't ever remember a time while Fernandez was with the Marlins that they drew more than 15,000 fans for any game.
Yeah, but Mark, we were fresh off of a World Series in
No. You're not.
I mean, we were better back then, so obviously
it doesn't matter. No one went to the other games, Felipe. That's what I'm telling you. They had the same crowds then they do now every night. When he pitched, it would go from 7,000 to 25, 28,000. I'm not kidding. We actually did these shows and talked about this. We did segments on this on our show.
David, I was saying that it's really sad because I think that Jose Fernandez had that exact same effect.
So you said he had the same effect, that they were drawing the same way.
I would see it.
I think he had an effect. I think he was about a 5,000 effect. You know, he was a number one starter, gets you 5,000 more per game. I'll tell you what, look up the 2003 Marlins attendance when Dontrell Willis started, because he didn't I think he debuted in May, and in the summer he gets nicknamed the D Train and he starts rolling. And it was remarkable how many more people were coming to the games when he pitched.
Well, did he get nicknamed the D Train in the summer, or was it
Yeah.
during the World Series?
No, in the summer.
Oh, I thought it was just because of he did really well in New York and the one outside of the
No,
stadium
he
was-
didn't. I mean, he pitched okay in the World Series, not great. He didn't start. I mean, he was out
Yeah,
of the starting rotation by the end of the season.
Yeah, we turned him into a reliever. But I thought it was because the train right outside of Yankee Stadium was the D Train.
No.
I thought that's what it was.
Dontrell, and he got nicknamed the D Train.
Sick. So can I get like a game log of each home game here?
Yeah,
Actually, you could.
you actually can.
Right.
Game by game statistics.
I don't know if ESPN.com would go that far back, but they do. Like when they do schedules, it's just month by month, and you see who pitched.
Yeah, I'd go to baseballreference.com.
Yeah, I'm looking through baseball. I just because all I'm getting is totals.
Well, DC, the national contracts are already in place. There are no more national contracts to negotiate. And the fact of the matter is that the sport keeps generating more and more revenue. And the owners are actually sharing less of it with the players than they were 6 years ago. DC, most of the owners in baseball, I don't know if they even give a crap about winning the World Series, to be honest with you. I think it's just an investment.
Sportsreference.com, as in like basketball, football, college football, that stuff. It's probably the greatest thing ever created.
Hops recommends we take our big mouth to John Smith subs.
Yeah, I saw that. I realized that after the fact that I'm talking about two sub chains and one of them's not the one advertising on the show.
10 seconds.
Boom.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
23 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton brought to you by Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Make sure you insist on Napa Filters for your vehicle. No matter what it may be, they've got the filter for it. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, make sure you only buy Napa Filters. You can do so online, or you can order them online and pick them up at your nearby store if you want. Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters.
Still waiting on those mic flags.
We'll get them.
All right. David, you have talked about making a monumental change to baseball.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have it all worked out in your head just yet, but I will say this. At the end of the day, your premise is somewhere in the latter 3 innings. I'm guessing if I wanted to convince you to 2 innings, I could probably fight with you and get you 8 9th, and we could work this out over 2 beers with a cocktail napkin. And I can just hear baseball person cringe, because what David is suggesting is that in the last 3 innings, that you can bring up to the plate whoever you want.
Yep.
An old baseball guy right now is going, Moulton, that would change the history of the game forever and ever. And you may be right. But I'm going to ask you this question, old baseball guy. If they did that, would you quit watching? Because my guess is you wouldn't. This is the glowing puck to the hockey guy. This is actually, it's not even the glowing puck, David. It's the shootout to the hockey purist. That games now end in a 3-3 overtime and then a shootout. It's disgraceful.
It's awful.
It's not hockey.
Nope. Neither's the overtime, quite frankly.
No, it's awful.
It's ridiculous.
But they wanted to have games end with a winner and a loser, not a tie. They don't do it in the postseason. And for most of the fans, they love the overtime and the shootout. Covered too many hockey games and watched too many fan bases get ultra excited over a shootout. So you would have to argue in retrospect that the shootout has worked for the game.
Yeah, fans like it.
We may not.
No.
But the general public, the fans like it more than they don't.
It's entertaining. At the end of the day, they're paying money or they spent time watching, and what do they want? They want to be entertained.
And focus groups and all the research has told them what they don't want is a tie.
The other thing, Mark, is who normally participates in the shootout?
The best players.
And the highest paid.
Right.
So this is another reason why.
And in the overtime, for that matter. When you go 3-on-3, who's out there? The guys that can skate, your best skaters.
And I would look at the owners if I was presenting this, and they're going, that's the dumbest idea. And I go, okay. I go, by the way, how much you paying for so-and-so? And so-and-so and so-and-so. I go, don't you want them to come up to the plate more often? You're paying them $20, $30+ million. I mean, remember, this is baseball. Okay, when you're the elite players on the team, I mean, you get paid in baseball.
And I don't think any baseball. Well, first off, here's the one thing. In the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, if the team that you're rooting for, the home team generally, is losing, there's a good chance you're leaving. And you're leaving early. Now, in the last 3 innings, much like every other sport now, they've always said, don't even turn the NBA on until the last 2 minutes. Now in football, we just have to watch the fourth quarter as the quarterbacks are seemingly able to drive down the field with ease. Well, relief pitchers have turned out to dominate professional baseball.
A lot of them. Yeah.
Make the games pretty boring in the late innings because there's not a lot of base runners.
Even Rob Manfred admitted that a few years ago, going, I think we got to do something about the end of our games. They need to become the most exciting part of the game like they seemingly are in the other sports.
So if now all of a sudden the best batters are facing the best pitchers at the end of the game, there's more excitement, more expectations, more of a chance for a comeback. When I first heard David talk about this, I thought it was a little nuts, like a lot of things he says. And this is radical. It is extremely radical. But when you think about it in the most simplest form, it's accomplishing what a sport wants to do.
Would you rather have your star player get 4 at-bats or 6? I mean, that's what we're talking here. I mean, it's the difference between you go to see somebody play a basketball game. Don't you want to see them play 40 minutes, 38 minutes, as opposed to them playing 28 minutes? I mean, yeah, I understand it. Here's, by the way, don't know if I would have suggested this if the steroid era had not blown out the record books. Don't know if I would have suggested it because this, obviously, you're going to have many more at-bats. I mean, we could have, think a guy could have 1,000 at-bats in a season. I mean, he really could. There's no reason to think that, your best players couldn't have 1,000 at-bats. And obviously that's far different than what we've ever had. I mean, if you could get 700 plate appearances out of somebody, that's considered remarkable.
How would you do it? Do you have an idea in your head of how you'd make this happen?
Yeah. I one of two. I'm toying with you can put any 3 guys up you want and they could be out of order. Or do you make it, hey, you can put any 3 guys up you want, but the batting order's posted there. And if you say, hey, I want to start with Trout, well, okay, 2, 3, 4 in the lineup, and then you continue it. Or do you just let them put anybody up that you want?
Because that's what someone's asking. Okay, so is Tatis going to slide into home in the 8th and stand right back up and wait for someone to bring his bat and get him right back in the box?
No. He can't bat. I would go through
unless
a full,
unless he was the 10th batter, theoretically, unless you batted
exactly
through the order.
Right. If they bat around, he could bat again, but I wouldn't let him bat 1st and 4th.
Would you let them put a different – so one of the things you're thinking of is that, hey, it's the 8th inning. And that's why I would like to do just the 8th and 9th for that matter. I would get rid of the 7th. But in the 8th and 9th, here's my batting order. I mean, literally, 8th inning. Here, Mr. Umpire. Here's my 8th inning batting order.
Here's the other thing I think it would do, by the way. All this relief pitcher changing and the set and the other thing. No, you'd have to go back to, for those that want baseball played like it used to be, hey, they used to just, hey, he's my best reliever. I throw him out there. Doesn't matter if it's a righty or lefty at the plate. He's my best guy. Here you go. The Bruce Sutter, Goose Gossage, Lee Smith, 2 and 3 inning saves. All right. I mean, hey, you send your best guy out there for the 8th inning. Have no idea who he's going to face, by the way.
Would you allow a different order in the 8th and the 9th? You know what I'm saying? Like it goes Moulton, Miller, Felipe in the 8th, and in the 9th, we just go right back to the same batting order.
Well, that's what I'm toying with. I'm toying with, can you literally put any 3 guys, kind of like in hockey, you mix up your lines. I'm toying with beginning it. You say the 8th inning, fine. Do you just, hey, I can put any 3 guys I want, and which means I could take my 2nd place hitter, my 5th place hitter, my 7th place hitter, and those will be the guys that bat? Or does it need to have just a touch of order to it, so that when I go back to the home plate umpire and I go, by the way, in the 8th inning, we're starting with Trout, and they can look up at the lineup and go, oh, that means it's going to be Trout, and it's going to be this guy, and it's going to be this guy. Oh, okay. So it'll be Trout, Ohtani, and, the third baseman who used to play for the Nats there, who names escapes me. Oh, okay. That's who you're sending up here in the 8th. Fine. Got it. So, and I think I would do that. I think it's a radical enough idea, Mark, that I think
Zimmerman,
I need
right?
to have. No, Zimmerman just retired. He was the first baseman with the Nats. No, had the huge World Series.
Yeah.
He got 30+ million to go to the Angels. Somebody will let us know who he is here in a moment. But I think I would bring, it's a crazy enough idea that I think I need to have some order to it. So that this way everybody knows. The managers know, the players know, the pitchers knows, the fans know at home and at the stadium. Oh, he's decided to go back to the top of the order. Oh, okay, it's going to be so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Got it.
Rendon.
There you go. Thank you.
I had to look it up. I can't take credit for that. A few people popped in the Twitch chat right as I got the answer.
Appreciate it.
Are
you okay with that?
You know what, David? I am. The more I think about this, Manfred started this. I'd like to give David full credit for this. This is Manfred. Do we need to change the way our games end?
Right.
And this makes sense.
And I think it would help. I do think it would help produce stars.
It would help television ratings.
I think it would. The owners have their best players that they're spending the most money on deciding the outcome of games. Fans are, in theory, seeing the best players. And you could have other guys on the team that'll be bummed they only got 2 at-bats in a game. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah. I'm paying. By the way, the 3 guys that we mentioned there for the Angels, Trout, Ohtani, and Rendon combined, and Ohtani's still working off his first deal, but you add up their salaries, I mean, that's $90 million just so for those 3 guys a year, $90 million. I mean, if you're Artie Moreno and, the owner of don't you want to have them batting in the 7th, 8th, and 9th? Damn right I do. Spending $90 million a year on them.
Everything outside of tradition, this makes sense. And tradition ain't working. I don't know what to tell you.
It's just a thought. Now, I think, like you pointed out, regular season versus postseason. I think more people do watch in the postseason, and I do think that it would kind of freak people out in the postseason.
Yeah, I'm fine with this being a regular season rule.
Oh, so you would go back to baseball the standard way in the postseason?
Well, David, I would do 2 things. I would put your rule in, but I don't know whether I'm going to go back to their silly second base.
No.
But I might end games at 11. I mean, I might put a runner on after 11. I want to get games over with.
Oh,
I'm not going to do that in the postseason. So I might just go back to regular rules in the postseason.
He goes by Ugly Bag of Water in our Twitch chat room as we head to break. He said, screw tradition. Give me steroids and dynamic batting orders. 25 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
One of my friends just texted me. Interesting convo. 2, 3, 4 hitters bat last 3 innings. Wow.
Well, but I mean, think about it. I mean, could you imagine? Just imagine. It sounds batshit crazy. I'm going to go right to your living room. You're an NBA guy. Imagine if the NBA played by baseball's rules. You got LeBron and, AD out there with Westbrook and what have you, and they do their thing for a 4-minute stretch, and then we get a media timeout, and then they got to sit down, man. No, that's it. You had your media stretch. Now we come back after the media timeout, and 3 different guys got to play.
Hockey has put media timeouts in to allow the first-line players to play more. Smart coaches work their lines knowing that, hey, I can play this line. I got a media timeout and get them right back on the ice.
I think, by the way, Debbie, that if you went to something like this, I think it might change baseball again a little bit, in which, from a pitching standpoint, you would leave your best pitchers in longer because you can't mix and match. Because remember, and I would have it this way, manager of the team batting gets to wait to see who's starting the inning before they tell the umpire, okay, we're going to go with 3, 4, 5 in the lineup.
I'm looking at the game logs of 2016 season to try to find this Jose, I guess.
Well, I mean, is there a big variant in home attendance from game to game? Is there one also that has 20,000 over one that has 6?
No, I just started looking, but I was.
So you were wrong.
No, I haven't come to a conclusion yet. I was just going to say a side point that I'm trying to make is I'm looking and I'm like 44,000. I'm like, oh, Cubs game. Right. Where real fans are.
Right.
It's so sad. I've been to Wrigley Field once in my life, and it was a random Tuesday in June. Sold out.
Never been.
By the way, it wasn't that way. I mean, 70s and 80s, into the early 80s, Wrigley Field was half empty all the time. Golden age of baseball, hey, there were a lot of empty seats.
You want to know something? I remember being little and baseball being huge. Much bigger than it is now, and it's pretty noticeable how much it's dropped off. It's sad. All right, let's see.
Well, you got to remember, though, when you were really little, the Marlins had a nice 3-year run there in 03, 04, 05.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you had the Cubs and the Red Sox and the Yankees, who were all making headway there. The Cardinals have a nice following, particularly just north on your coast where you grew up, because they have spring training there. So, the marquee teams in the sport were really good when you were really young.
Yeah.
And by the way, they had star players. Albert Pujols.
I was going to say, that's a household name.
Yeah.
I think he was a superstar.
Yes.
He was a machine.
Yeah. Albert Pujols just just made it as a star.
Wednesday, the 22nd of June, 22,000. Next day on Thursday, 25,000 because Jose pitches.
Yeah, okay, 3,000. I mean, that's, that's nice.
Let's see.
Now, I will say, in a better sports town, that would have been 30.
Right. I just, again, because I am one of those idiots that's a Marlins fan, we would say, when's Jose pitching? Let's go see him. And a lot of other people would.
The Mets were bad when I was growing up until I was went to college, really. And my grandma, my dad's mom, was a Brooklyn Dodgers, New York Mets fan. And she would take me, and we would go once a year, but we'd go when Seaver was pitching.
That's awesome.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"19 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Do you know what I'm encouraged by? And thanks so much for being with us, kicking a few things around on this final Thursday of the month. We've talked a little football, a little golf, a lot more baseball than we normally do, but not the negotiations and what have you. Although it is because they're not going well. And on the understatement scale of 1 to 10, where does that rank, that the negotiations are not going well?
Minus 16.
So that's why our poll question at that Mark Miller, at the David Moulton, at FL Sports Network, and on floridasportsnetwork.com, right?
Yeah. Look at that.
Is so when do you think there's going to be baseball? Opening day, closer to May 1st, or I'm sorry, I don't care. Oh, okay.
And I threw that on so more people would vote.
But what's interesting is, so we got on to a bit of a baseball discussion away from the negotiations and talking about, they're trying to do something to make baseball a little more popular. Create some stars as we define them in America. And instead of, because listen, you folks are not shy. All right. Radio hosts start talking about something you don't like. You let them know. And that's good. That's why, every show is a democracy in action. You let us know. And usually if we go down a baseball road for more than a segment, the hate mail starts coming.
And I've got the text line open and we're not getting it.
No, and I'm got the Twitch chat room open. And instead, what we're getting are people that are genuinely contributing, whether they like their ideas or not. Here's how I tweak it. Here's why it makes sense. Here's why I don't think it does. But they're not crushing us. They actually are like, oh, okay, this is interesting. This is worth discussing.
Well, like this person here, David, on the no ketchup text line.
Really?
The no ketchup on hot dog text line. That's what I just named it. We're not going to get sponsors soon. I'm naming everything, whatever the hell I want. And thank you for texting. But he says, if you do 257, how would the rest of the lineup work? But I'm liking it so far.
Well, and that's why, and if you're literally just joining us, my idea, which is not an original idea, actually Rob Manfred kind of, was thinking and talking out loud a few years ago. And he talked about maybe we need to change the ending of our games, create more excitement on a consistent basis. The relievers seem to be dominating. There's nothing but strikeouts at the end of games a lot of times. So, maybe we got to spice things up. And so if you look at other sports, the ball or the puck or the stick or the club, the racket is always in the hands of the stars at the end of games. Well, that cannot be the case in baseball. If a reliever, particularly if a bullpen's dominating, your star hitter may only get up once in the 7th, 8th, or 9th. Well, that's not ideal for anyone.
Except for the relief pitcher.
Yeah. And so
who cares about a relief pitcher at the end of the day?
Yeah, who cares about the opposing team, right? So my suggestion is simple. That literally, and Mark said, because I was willing to do it beginning in the 7th inning. Mark said 8th inning. I don't want you to do it before the 8th. Okay, fine.
By the way, this is how negotiations should get done in the real world. I'm like, David, that's too much.
Okay.
And he's like,
Yeah,
all right. Yeah, you know what? Maybe you're right.
And so, because then in theory, if you start with the 7th, the same guy could bat in 4 consecutive innings also, because he could bat in the 6th, and then we put him back up in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. But that's my idea. That top of the 8th inning and bottom of the 8th inning, that the manager can come out and go, by the way, doesn't matter what the batting order says, I'm sending up. And then what I think during this discussion I have finalized on is we need to have some order. We can't just pick this guy, and this guy who are separated by 2 batters. No. I'm starting with Trout. Oh, so you're starting with the number 2 hitter in the order. Oh, okay. So we're going to go 2, 3, 4. Yes. And then to me, the lineup continues. You Trout 2, 3, 4 can't hit again unless they, go through the lineup. But in the 9th inning, by the way,
you can go back to 2, 3, 4.
2, 3, 4. Yeah.
It's kind of like in soccer during penalty kicks when you choose the people who kick in order.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's interesting.
Yeah, only in theory, after you go through the original 5, you'd be able to tap your 3 best players again
And have him go again.
Keep going.
David Moulton and his rule changes, huh?
Oh, he loves them.
Oh,
by the way, someone did text in earlier, since you brought up soccer, Felipe. We were talking about just stars. That this person claims there might be more stars in international soccer in this country than there are in baseball right now.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, and if you're just joining us, we came to the conclusion that by the American definition of a star, you have to have a popularity and notoriety level of a certain degree where you can be recognized by the majority of the people everywhere. That baseball doesn't have one.
And internationally it does, but we're talking about in this country.
Does not have one single star as defined by American culture.
Yeah, cover on MLB The Show ain't good enough.
No. Now, and I'm not a soccer guy, but off the top of my head, obviously Messi and Ronaldo are stars.
Right.
Never mind. And, Felipe could run through a list and you're not going to do it now.
But I don't think there's more than that, because I think after that you are, but there at least are stars.
Right. I mean, the funny thing is, and he hasn't played soccer competitively in this country in at least a decade, I think David Beckham might still qualify.
Well, that gets into your baseball Jeter thing, but
yeah,
yes.
And Ortiz and all that.
Remember, you can text the No Ketchup on Hot Dog hotline. The keyword is FSN Radio. You text that to 21,000, and then you're in. Mustard for you.
What really concerns me about this is, 1, I know you're more serious than joking, and 2, how effortlessly that flowed. That's what concerns me, because let's face it.
It was either that or the ketchup is a crime on a hot dog hotline.
I think you went with the right choice.
I do too.
Kind of like
too.
Moulton and Miller, or Miller and Moulton.
Right.
One sounds better, right? Go with it. Twitch chat room. Somebody said, I do think if we went with your idea, though, that it could favor, bigger market, bigger payroll teams over smaller market, smaller payroll teams. Okay, I could see that. I also could argue, though, hey, if you're a smaller market, smaller payroll teams, how many elite players do you have?
Well, I could also argue that it may want you to have 1 or 2 now. It changes the way you do your game, changes the way you build your team. Hey, we got to make sure
we got at least
3 bats. Well,
yeah.
even just 2
right.
bats.
There, 2.
I got to have 2 strong bats in my lineup, because I got to know in the 8th and 9th I can go back to these guys.
I would like to think, teams that are struggling right now, the Orioles, the Pirates, Texas had an awful year last year. Well, you could find 2, 3 guys, can't you? And which now all of a sudden, games are being decided late. I got my best players up there, which is good, because my 6 through 9 guys in the lineup aren't that good. Got to be honest. They're not. Those are outs.
Also, that guy starts going for you a little bit and you're a bad team. What have you done? You've injected some life into your franchise. You've injected some popularity into a player. That always leads to more people at the ballpark. And at the end of the day, I think getting fans to stay for 2 more innings is a damn good idea.
This may be self-serving, and I don't know if this is important or not, but baseball has ceased to be a sports talk radio sport. You can discuss the NBA. It's difficult nationally. I mean, those, if you're listening here, you're probably listening to national sports talk radio. How often do you hear baseball? Not a Yankee segment, not a Dodgers segment because Fox is based in LA. How often do you hear baseball on national sports talk radio? I would argue in the last 15 years, you don't hear it at all. Don't you think if you're running a sport, you want to make the talking head shows on television and you want to make national sports talk radio?
For things other than your lockout, it would be nice.
Yeah. I mean, don't you want to be talked about?
Of course.
Yeah. And so I think this would help.
And it also would help, your top 10 plays, and I know they're always going to show highlights in baseball, but we live for the basketball highlight or, going to YouTube and watching the end of the game and how people consume now. I'm kind of trying to take it how Felipe watches a game versus how we watched highlights. They're going to their phones in the morning and check out the games. Well, you're going to see now all these 8th and 9th inning highlights. Whether they do strike out the best player, striking out the 8-hitter to win a game is, your reliever striking out Trout to win the game is a bigger deal.
I think there's a better chance to have a 2-inning save now. I make my change. I put up my 3 best hitters. And you go, well, I got to put my best reliever out there.
I was about to ask that question. Yeah.
And then, okay, I get them out. Well, what am I going to do? Put my second best reliever out there to face the same 3 guys? Because I don't want to put my second best reliever out there in the 8th. I could give up the lead, never get my best reliever in the game. And I think it may go back to, and maybe we're not using 6 pitchers a night. Maybe we're actually using 3 or 4.
What if we just get positionless pitchers? You throw your best starters in the end because you're facing the best hitters.
Well, they wouldn't do that.
No? Screws up the arms too much.
It wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that there might be a chance to actually have the starter stay in the game an inning longer.
That's what I was going to say. You might get more 6-inning starts, more 7-inning starts to try to get that to
get
point.
To the end game.
And, someone said baseball fan will freak out. I don't care if the point of this is that baseball's fan base is getting older. You have to inject something into this game to get more people interested in the game.
Well, and it's not just getting older, it's getting smaller. And let me ask you this. Let's just say you're one of those that's going, this would not work for me. Is it enough where you would stop watching?
That's the question. Would a radical rule change for the diehard baseball fan get the baseball fan to quit watching? Because if that's the case, then it's a problem. I don't think that's the case.
Like we're going to have the universal DH whenever it is they play again. And while you and I both prefer the National League style of ball or what have you, we're not going to stop watching because of that.
Not at all. We know that it makes sense. These guys haven't hit since high school in a lot of cases, for crying out loud.
And yes, there's less strategy at the end of games. Well, I don't know what to tell you. You got to give up something.
And we just gave you more. We gave you a hell of a lot more strategy here in this last segment than we did with a pitcher and a double switch, for crying out loud.
Right. I also will say you wait until they put their pitcher on the mound before you then determine who your hitters are.
Make it a little tougher on the pitcher for a change because it's a little too easy on the pitcher right now.
So there you have it. Some food for thought. Miller and Moulton. Hey, thanks to all of you. Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. Pat Kerwin will join us on the show tomorrow. For those of you in the 239, the bonus hour is next.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you
The
today.
Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, go Raiders. The problem is baseball is an international game, just like basketball and hockey. Now football is not yet an international game. It's only ever so slightly becoming an international game. So I think it would be tough for baseball to, go back. And I would not be in favor, and I can't imagine the sport would be as well, be in favor of basically like saying, hey, we got a 26-man roster and 20 of them have to be Americans. No way. Not the demographic makeup of the country now. And
Pat McAfee's making $30 million a year.
yeah, just from Barstool, right?
Not on Barstool,
Since
no,
I'm
no,
sorry, since DraftKings, right? He's got, didn't they?
Well, but it's the Pat. I mean,
Right.
it's whatever his sponsorship is for that show.
Well, but didn't DraftKings just sign him to like a
Is it DraftKings only?
$20 million a year?
It's $30 million a year. Is what $30 million a year.
Good for him.
Wow.
Good for him. It was a lot of money to Aaron Rodgers, let me tell you. Well, and go Raiders, you may be onto something. And I will say, having less minor leaguers, I would like them to fix the whole paying of the minor leaguers and how they do it. Because I do believe part of what you want, that more American talent, part of the reason that they've gone to less American talent is that those players will play for less. And that's why, if what you want, I think if you got the money so that it wasn't literally poverty wages, because it's disgraceful what minor leaguers before AAA are paid. It's disgraceful.
Even double A's that bad?
It's not good. It's not good. You're in Binghamton, New York. You think those guys don't make $40,000
I have no idea.
playing?
I don't know if they pay
ball?
their housing in double A. I don't know what happens.
Guillermo, I agree. I agree with you. Speed. It would be nice for baseball to bring speed back into the game in every way. Pick up the pace of play and somehow get. Problem is, all the analytic people say that a stolen base isn't worth the risk.
Should, Russia attacking Ukraine be the bad or the ugly?
Can it be both? I mean, Europe hasn't had this in 75 effing years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Last time didn't work out that well.
for everybody.
Ten seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the beginning of the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on this final Thursday in February. Thanks so much for being with us as part of the Florida Sports Network. You can follow us on Twitter, that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, NFL Sports Network. Our poll question appears on Twitter and also on floridasportsnetwork.com. And, well, our poll question today, with the labor talks going so well between the players and the owners in baseball, we ask you, so when is it that you think they're going to play this year? Is this just all a bunch of posturing, and in the last 100-plus hours, they're going to strike a deal by Monday? Or, well, they don't have a deal by Monday, then apparently every day they miss is a game, and, well, we're going to miss one game. Well, hell, let's miss a month.
And it certainly looks like that's going to be the case the way the owners are acting. We shall see. But it has led us to a little bit of a baseball discussion today, and not about the labor talks and not about really the current game, but where we see the future of the game going and how to inject more life into a sport that does not have a lot of late inning life due to the way the game's played currently. And to our surprise, we've done this longer than we thought we would, because you have jumped in with a lot of comments on the No Ketchup on Hot Dog text line, as well as in the Twitch chat room.
And I may be wrong, Mark. Goodness knows I am a lot daily. But for all the fans out there who are like, you know what, I'm done with baseball. What so far today's discussion has shown me is that baseball has made you done with baseball, but deep in those crevices, you actually still care about it because you grew up with it and you liked it. And most of us will hold dearly later in life, no matter how long a period of time, 10 years, 30 years. Okay. But if you were fond of something once, it's tough to be 100% not fond of it later in your life. Like maybe there's still a little crevice of you, because listen, we know the folks in our Twitch chat room by their handles, and we know all the negative comments that they have given over the last 5 years about baseball. And almost all of them, to a person, are making suggestions as to how to make the sport better. Things that would interest them. And once again, it's like, so what you're saying is, you don't have a crush on me now, but there's a little soft spot, isn't there? We could go have tea.
But if I put that one shirt on again that you really liked, and maybe roll up the sleeves, you might be interested again. You know, the other part of this, and I can say this now that we're in the bonus hour, is that the bonus hour is broadcast in Fort Myers and Naples, where the closest we are to a major league ballpark is 90 minutes away. So our only way to really watch the game is on television. And I do think the further you are from a ballpark, and no offense to Hammond Stadium and the Mighty Muscles, but that's minor league, and we haven't really been able to go to a whole hell of a lot of that in the last 2 years either. But it's not the same. It's just not. Minor league is not major league. And walking into the ballpark and being able to go to the ballpark on you and I have talked about all the time. If we lived around the Tampa area, or the St. Pete area, you and I would go to 25, 30 Rays games a year.
You and I would split a full season ticket package. You'd probably go to a third. I'd go to a third. We'd figure out a way to give the others away. Honestly, there's no doubt about it. We would combine up for season tickets. I'm all in with you on that.
Because if you're close, you go to the ballpark. And when you're away from the big cities, I think you get a little bit more jaded about the major sports. I think that's why we have a negative basketball attitude from time to time. I think it's why we have a negative baseball attitude. And it keeps us liking one sport, football, the best sport that there is to watch on television. And it's not close.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that.
I think basketball is better on television than baseball is on television. I don't think that's close.
Still think there's a few too many timeouts. I wish those games are getting long too. You got to tighten that product up a little bit.
They do. But when you're in the game and you're watching, you're in a seat and there's atmosphere and all of a sudden there's timeout, it's like, I can go to the bathroom. I can get a drink. I can check my phone. All the things we're doing as we watch a game as opposed to when there's a break in the game.
And Seth asked the question yesterday, and I think you and I answered it pretty similarly, but he was just wondering aloud, like, how much more damage, if any, could be done? Is this just the base arguing with the base? Or could real damage be done if they actually continue on the path that they're continuing on, which is the sporting equivalent right now of Russia and the Ukraine?
I will say there's one comment that was made. It's by someone that I know in our Twitch chat room who just simply said, I probably won't go to a game this year. And I can't remember the last time I said that. And it's someone that lives in Michigan, lifelong, same age as me, lifelong Tigers fan that says, I've been going to a game 2, 3, 4 a year my whole life. I don't know if I'm going.
So this is, honking them off that much. I'm really turned off.
That's a bad sign.
Right.
Because it's one thing to hear a Rays or a Marlins fan say, I'm not going. Hell, you weren't going before, to be perfectly, brutally honest with you. You try to act like these teams matter, but they don't matter to you. But when the Twins fan and the Tigers fan, if a Red Sox fan or a Yankee fan, God forbid, said I'm not going, then there's problems. Or not watching, for that matter.
By the way, somebody went to the ballpark the other day. They put mayo, spicy mustard, dill relish, and ketchup on their hot dog.
I banned them from the Twitch chat room for a month.
Show all one word, FSN Radio. Send it to 21,000 if you never have before. If you've done that, well, then you can just text us. Mark's got the text line. I'm all over the Twitch chat room, the Miller and Moulton channel on twitch.tv.
These ketchup people texting in just to really drive me crazy.
Yeah, well, come on now. You went there. You got to admit that one's on you. You went there first. It's like the last 2 days we've had Green Bay Packers guests on. Both of them mentioned the weather. Hey, we weren't going to rub it in. Nearly record highs, first digit nearly a 9. We didn't go there.
It's been fantastic.
It's been amazing. It's been ridiculous.
This is my favorite text of the day, David. I wouldn't like it at first, but it's not enough to keep me from watching it. After a season or two, I'd probably forget about the old way. That's what I figure most baseball fans would say at the end of the day.
Well, don't you think it was like in the 70s when the DH was implemented? And remember, at the time it was implemented, baseball was the #1 sport in our country. And it wasn't close, by the way, at the time the DH was implemented in the mid-70s. And yet in the American League, they went with it. And I'm guessing we didn't have sports talk radio then, and we didn't have ESPN then either. But I'm guessing people freaked out.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
And they made a significant change to the #1 sport in our country. And I guess people adjusted, although the National Leagues had 50 years to, do the same thing, and they haven't. But I'm guessing
they are finally ending the most mind-boggling rule in all of professional sports. When they went to full-on interleague play a few years ago and kept the DH in one league and not in the other, It was as bat blank crazy as anything we've ever seen. It is literally in the AFC 1 foot in bounds, in the NFC 2 feet in bounds. It's in the NBA in the Western Conference, 3-pointers are allowed, and in the Eastern Conference, 3-pointers aren't allowed.
See, to me, that's the analogy. That's how different you're literally playing a different sport.
Yeah, one's playing in the ABA and one's playing in the NBA, essentially.
Right.
You're right.
And for nearly 50 years now, we've been okay with that. And in World Series, well, it depends on what ballpark you're in. You know, you're in an American League ballpark, you got the DH. You're in a National League ballpark, no DH. What? You know, could you imagine an NBA or an NHL series, best of 7? Oh, wait, hold on. The series is in Boston now. Oh, okay. Well, then, you know, you guys can only use 3 lines. Can't use 4.
Right.
Sorry. No. You're at home. No. When you're at home, you can use 4 lines, right?
I mean, this is John Candy playing poker in stripes. No, but if we're in Germany, so you got to make my bunk. But if we were in Czechoslovakia, I'd have to make yours. Texter, mustard and onions, please. Texter, just needed to text my support of the no ketchup on hot dogs text line. Thank the both of you.
There we go. This is where my mother yells at me. She's a ketchup on a hot dog gal. I know.
I refuse to say anything mean to your mother anymore because I'm scared of her. I've really only met your mom face to face a couple of times.
Well, that's why I'm here. Love ketchup on hot dogs.
I'll tell you.
Every time he says that,
I know
he'll never get a raise.
Mark literally will grab his phone going, there's got to be somebody else we can get in that chair. All right. Then the moment passes. But for about 12 seconds, Felipe, every time you say that, you're in trouble. Just so you know. I wouldn't say it when I'm not here, by the way. I just, if I'm on the road, just, you might want to keep the ketchup on a hot dog to yourself.
And, this person says, text in Premier League 90 minutes. F1, usually around 90 minutes. I love that you threw F1 in. NBA 2 and 2.5 hours. Football as long as it wants, which is not true. When the MLB is played every day, they need to get under the 3-hour mark. I would love them to get under the 3-hour mark. But the NFL is not as long as it wants. The NFL is 3 hours.
Yeah, 3:06. Anything over 3:10, the NFL freaks out. College football, unfortunately, is however long they want.
And we see it as a problem.
Yes. The networks actually see it as a problem. The problem is there's no one governing body to go to change it.
And even if you eliminate the quick time that the clock is stopped after first downs, I don't think it eats up the amount of time that people would think. They're running the clock when the ball goes out of bounds. They rewind it pretty quickly now. So the only difference really is
But I will say what that does is it adds about 20 to 25 more plays a game at least. And that's just if the game's standard. That's not if they're not 2 no-huddle offenses, at which point you could have 90 plays on each side.
That's a bigger problem, though.
Right. Well, listen, Gary Danielson said this out loud about 5-7 years ago, and people made fun of him. But he said, I like the huddle. Football needs the huddle. And I don't think you realize why the NFL is such a magnificent television product.
The huddle?
They huddle after every play for 50. And even when they do their hurry up and no huddle, it's not like college. College is trying to do it in about 8 seconds. And the NFL is just trying to do it in about 20. We're just trying to do it fast enough so that you can't make a defensive substitution. That's all.
Well, and the other college one is that you don't know. The college is an unknown. Sometimes they'll snap it in 4 seconds. Sometimes they'll wait the whole clock. But what they do is it's different every time, so it doesn't allow the director to really run proper replays.
Right, and that is the beauty of football, is how many replays you get. You only get 5 to 7 seconds of action. We got 35 seconds to fill before we're getting near the snap. Well, we can't just show them walking back to the huddle and the coach looking at his play card. Got to show you 1 or 2 replays. And you go, oh, I didn't see that. Oh, look at there. That was a nice play. And then next thing you know, you look and they're in the shotgun and there's under 10 seconds to go.
And your play-by-play guy gives you a quick who's on the right, who's on the what's the formation in.
Right. Boom.
Brady under center, Brady in the shotgun. Away we go.
You want college football? We just got to run another play. Can we run another play? Let's run another play. Oh, goodness
The
sakes.
huddle builds the anticipation of the next.
Yes, it gives the game a rhythm to it.
You get the spider cam floating over them.
Now, I would argue it's the difference between playing golf, walking, and riding a cart.
Okay.
Remember, we're not televising your average round. Okay.
No. But
And
I'm
then
even
on
I'm
tour-
just thinking of the regular, just use your own game of golf in your head. Just the time that you're in the middle of the fairway and you grab your putter and you walk to the green, as opposed to you get in the cart and you race over to the green. No. I'm not even using the average run. Yes.
And there's enough time so that you can show more of the golfers on the course and what have you. That's all. 15 minutes after the hour. The good, the bad, and the ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Our final thoughts. That's all coming up roughly 20 minutes away. Here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
50 to 54 age group. He's been training for it. He's been documenting his training.
Okay.
And he went to do his first 100. He was going to put his time up. And he goes, yeah, well, I'm not putting my time up. Not anywhere near where I thought I was going to be. But he did the pole vault and the triple jump in college. He wasn't, he wasn't a track athlete. It's not like he's
right. Listen, that whole thing, John, if baseball's never going to have a game clock, it may have a pitch clock. And I think it will here in the next 5 years, but it's not going to have a game clock. This isn't like Little League where you only had the field for 2 hours. And so you're coming up and you look and it's 10-7 and you're like, well, we only have time for one more at bat.
Well, the clock that they added, was that the time that you take to step in the batter's box?
No. Well, first of all, Major League Baseball hasn't added a pitch clock.
There's no clock in Major League.
They have a clock that times in between innings and pitching changes. That's the only area where they didn't have to negotiate with the players, that they could insert a clock and make sure that you stick to. That's why you'll come out of commercial break and the pitch is being thrown. Yeah, they don't wait for television. When that clock hits it, they go.
Guillermo, I'm going to say something that's probably really controversial here. The Fort Myers Jersey Mike's produces a better sub than Publix.
I agree. Yes.
And you've been to that Jersey Mike's on 41?
The one, on 41.
Because the one on Ben Hill does not. The one on Ben Hill, the one sub I had there was awful.
The one near
Crystal.
Closer. Yeah.
41 in Crystal.
Yes,
It's just
I've been to
before
that.
Crystal.
Yeah, I've been to that one.
Yeah.
In fact, that was my first Jersey Mike's experience.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah.
He's been with the company forever. He knows how to do it. I know people that own the other one. I hope they get it right. The one time I was there, it was a meatless sub. It was terrible. And Guillermo, I don't know how often you're in Fort Myers, but Mario's, I'll put a Mario sub up against anything down here. And if you want to spend too much money, the subs at Doromo's the other day, we went all hot. Meatball chicken parm and a French dip. I'm telling you.
DC, I know. Oh my gosh, baseball. 2 outs, 2 strikes, home crowd.
Gotta get this next one.
Thank you for that, Philly. You know what I'm gonna start doing to Philly?
I'm just responding to him.
I'm gonna start. He's like Todd on the Dan Patrick show.
You gotta build relationships with these people. They're our loyal fans.
Philly, but you don't have to do it by answering every question with the most generic responses on earth. Every cliche that comes out of your mouth is just a cliche.
I like how you say cliche. Cliche.
I don't give a flying F what I say. I've been doing this for 20 years. I have a pretty good idea of what works and what doesn't. And when I try to help, you can either choose to listen or you can choose not to listen. A lot of love for Mario's there. People know. David, have you ever done a Mario's?
The only time I went to Mario's was when we had the meeting.
Yeah. So
good. And it's 6 blocks from my house.
It's
not
so-
even.
But the best part is, too, just getting the number and waiting in line with the old Italian women. That's my favorite part.
Where's that by?
It's right basically in that same corridor.
It's almost directly across from that Jersey Mike's that we talked about. It's on the other side of the street.
Philly, DC.
And it's just before it. If you were heading north on 41, Mario's is on the left before Jersey Mike's is on the right.
Mario's Italian Market. It's an old school, little Italian grocery store. Reminds me of Provenzano's in Saginaw when I was a kid.
See, people. Oh, we got 10 seconds. People trash on pub subs.
No, they don't. Public subs are great.
But there's people who trash on the chicken nugget ones, but they don't get it tossed in any sauce.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. All that good stuff coming up in 15 minutes or so. We began the show a little over 3 hours ago. With my good friend and co-host being a little bit of a wise guy and say, so have you read anything interesting lately?
Oh, we're going back to that.
Well,
I think it's time.
We hadn't mentioned it in 3 hours. Just got a text from one of the guys who's in the booth with Fox who said, hey, how's this topic being discussed on your show? And I said, well, pretty honestly, I know what I read in Andrew Marchand's column.
For those of you wondering, David, who has been Gary Danielson's spotter now for what?
We've done 16 years together.
Wow.
And
that's crazy.
Troy and I have done 4.
And Troy is being courted by nearly everybody on planet Earth to call football games next year.
That has an opening anyway.
Yeah. And the story broke early evening last night that Troy is in hot and heavy negotiations with the 4-letter network.
Right. Apparently Monday Night Football.
Which means I'm going to have to deal with a lot more of David Moulton in studio next year.
So that's why I think Mark's very much against this. Could care less what the broadcast booth sounds like. All right.
Amazon, he was doing Thursdays. I had him gone Thursday and Friday.
Oh, and then in theory, doing still, because the hope is, I'm still hoping to keep the Fox gig. And I was told that if Troy left, that they want me to stay. Well, obviously, I would love to stay. I'm fond of Joe, and he's done a lot for me, and I would be honored to be a part of their crew going forward. And they do have 2 of the next 3 Super Bowls. I'd be really honored to stay.
Yeah, this is putting a wrench in our plans for Arizona here. I've got to be. This is affecting me a lot more than I thought.
And enough about you, Mark. Let me talk.
Come on, I'm just having fun.
Hysterical.
That's why I've had to bend over on a camera because I'm laughing so hard saying this.
But
I
Mark,
don't even believe myself anymore.
well, Mark was half sincere when he's like, I was going to lose you for Thursdays and Fridays and for half the Mondays. I was just getting used to that idea. Now, in theory, you'll be here at least 3 days every week, at least. Oh, man. And you're right. I think my wife's thinking the same thing. I kind of got used to this football widow thing.
Oh, don't kid yourself. We've been texting all morning. She's well aware of it.
I do love when you guys text and they don't include me. That's great. And either you'll tell me about the conversations during the breaks or she'll tell me when she gets home from work. And I'm like, oh, really? You were, huh?
I always get a kick out of early in the show. We're on some sort of subject, and your wife has now learned it's easier to maybe get her point across texting my phone than yours.
But part of the reason why we didn't spend any time on it is, honestly, I don't know anything. And then why would I? I mean, I'm a helper in the booth.
Here's what we know. Troy's going to call football games next year.
Right.
He is not going to announce where he's going to call football games on our show.
No, Mark asked.
That's all I've figured out this morning.
And I didn't send the text. Just for the record, I did not even ask him, hey, when you make this announcement, could you make it on the Florida Sports Network?
I thought you may just say when you two texted, my co-host is hoping you could break this news. I let my co-host down. I told him you're not going to break the news on our show.
Right.
In which he would say, why not? Maybe I will.
Hey, you can let the folks in Bristol know if that's where you're going, that one of our 4 stations is an ESPN station. Okay. I mean, so if you want, you could even break it during the 9 o'clock hour where it would be an exclusive. But so another reason though, and I text my buddy back and said, listen, this is something in the business that, it's a big deal behind the curtain. Hey, who's going where? Who's doing this? Did you see what they did? We've thought for a while now that the audience, they're going to watch football no matter who's doing the game. They may enjoy it more or less, but I mean, when is the last time, and not just you, Mark, when is the last time, and I would say this to anybody, and quite frankly, maybe in any sport, when is the last time you did watch something or didn't watch something specifically for the announcers or because of the announcers?
I've heard plenty of people say they've turned games off or turned them down because of the announcers.
Right.
Very rarely off. I like a game when it's a good broadcast.
Yeah.
I'd prefer it, but I watch as many games in silence now as I do with the broadcast on.
There was a time in this country when not everything was on television, and also it synced up. We didn't have HD, and the FCC wasn't quite as involved, and you could match up radio with TV. Now you can do it now with DVR, but it takes a little bit of work. But yes, I've heard the, hey, don't like you. So, I watched the game, but, I blurt you out. Okay.
And I know you've gotten the same way. I can watch a game with the announcers on and go a half hour not having heard a word they said, not even pay attention. I mean, I guess that's called being married for a while. I think we've all gotten good at that over the years. Just ask your wife. If you don't think your wife's good at it, ask her.
Many of us, if we go out to a sports bar and take in our sports. Now, I know that, usually one game, the volume is on loud, and I understand they got the little box to put at the table, and in theory, you could hear the volume of the game that you're watching. But I think a lot of us have gotten used to just watching our game and being unable to hear it. For as much as, listen, people apparently didn't like, Booger McFarland and Jason Witten Monday Night Football. And some liked the Brian Griese, Louis Riddick broadcast with Steve Levy, and some didn't. But do you think people who didn't like the Booger McFarland, Jason Witten broadcast, do you think they stopped watching, but then, I like the Brian Griese, Louis Riddick cast, and now I'm watching it again?
David, you want to know what brought me back to Monday Night Football? The Manning cast. And I'll look you dead. I'll watch more if you're working Monday Night Football because you're working the game. And that's the God's honest truth. You and I have talked about this. By the time we get to Monday, Most weeks I'm footballed out. And the Monday night schedule has not been, this year was pretty good.
Yes.
They finally threw ESPN a bone after giving them such horrible schedules for so long.
Well, ESPN threw another number at the front. See, they changed the 2 in the billion to a 3. And because of it, they got a few better games.
And I watched Monday Night Football this year because of the Manning cast. That brought me back to Monday night more than anything else.
Now, did you watch just the Manning cast?
Yes.
Okay, so you never went back to the traditional broadcast?
Never. I find Steve Levy painful to watch doing football. It's bad enough when they let him do hockey because he's a huge hockey fan. He's not a good play-by-play guy. I think he's a bad play-by-play guy that's getting the Lifetime Achievement Award at ESPN. So here, you've been here so long, we have to give you games. It's a terrible listen to me.
Okay, fair
and
enough.
Brian Grissy's as bad as Levy. Louis Riddick's great. If I could just listen to him do a game alone, I might.
DC in our Twitch chat room said, I watched every Monday Night Football game this past season with the Manning cast. And obviously they didn't do every game. And they're not going to do every game going forward, by the way. And they re-upped the deal. I think they got a few extra bucks. And maybe they'll do a few extra games. There's going to be more games going forward on ABC Monday Night Football. Right? There's going to be Monday night doubleheaders in our future. And I'll be curious how America responds to that, where we're going to have staggered start times, but there will be games on at the same time. Like you'll have 2 games. One will be 7:30, the other will be 8:30, or 7 and 8:30. Obviously now the all primetime games are exclusive. Well, that's not going to be the case going forward, which will be another thing for us as a fan to adjust to. But so for those of you that saw the headline and wondered, I saw the story too around 7:00 last night, turned to my wife and said, well, this is interesting. Okay. You got a minute? Can I read you something?
You got a WTF out of me when I saw it, because that's not at all, that hadn't been out there.
It was a surprise to me. And I had actually talked to him about it. So we'll see if in fact they're, on the 1 yard line. I mean, reportedly Al Michaels was on the 1 yard line with Amazon, and there was actually a report that Al in fact had signed with Amazon. And then in Andrew Marchand's story, there's a little paragraph about, well, his play-by-play guy might be Al Michaels. Really? Huh. I believe, Mark, who is it who said this is a fluid situation, a developing situation?
Right.
I believe that's where we are.
No doubt. No doubt at all. We will keep you posted. As it's written in the New York Post, we will report about it.
Right. Right. Whatever Andrew Marchand has, we will reread it for you here on Miller and Moulton, part of the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Chris walked down the hall, looked right at me, didn't even say anything. God, it's great.
I will say we're not saying anything back also. No.
The Manning cast is perfect for your guys' demographic. Because I did not watch a single one this whole year.
How many Monday Night Football games did you watch?
Oh, every single one. It's always on. And Red Zone Sundays.
Wow, that was a good growl.
So, it's a survey that says, how did you hear about the YMCA? Television, radio, ad in the paper, and what have you. And then there's other, and it was checked off, and the guy wrote Village People.
Whoa.
Yeah, but Johnny Yo. Al Michaels. Can't mute that. Well, now you can because he's gone. No, I don't think so, E.
Oh, man.
What?
I think once it clips the net, it's foul.
E13216 there. FGU baseball has been very entertaining first 5 games of the year. They split a 4-game series with Cincinnati. There was a boatload of runs scored in all 4. And last night against Minnesota.
What? They called it out? That's weird.
No, it's not supposed to be an out. DC, there's no doubt about it. And Romo got very lucky because CBS, for whatever reason, and they didn't have to lock him up that soon, but they locked him up about 2 weeks, 3 weeks before the pandemic hit. And if they had waited 3 weeks and once the pandemic hit, Romo probably would have gotten half. But there's no doubt.
I wonder who the consensus best NFL duo commentators are.
It's all
Really
beauties in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
It was Al and Collinsworth.
It was. Okay.
They'd done it the longest together, and that's kind of the way we look at it.
Well, actually, Joe and Troy had done it longer.
Had they?
Al,
that's right. Chris came into the booth.
Chris came in after Madden. Madden did the 08 Super Bowl. So Al and Chris did 13 years. Joe and Troy did 20.
Yeah, it still would be Al and Chris because there are just so many people out there that don't like Joe.
Yeah.
And Nance and Sims always got bad reviews. And, Romo's gotten mostly good reviews. Some people are starting to turn on him.
It's like a meme, people not liking Joe Buck, but he's a legend, man.
Yes.
He's a freaking legend.
And he's only 52?
52. He and I are the same age.
He called the Marlins 03 World Series win.
He's called 24 World Series. He's called every World Series since 2000.
Wow.
That's why.
Pretty sick gig. 10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes before the top of the hour. Pat Kerwin on the show tomorrow. I know that for sure. Got a lot of stuff out there. Not much of it came through today. Who knows? Maybe we'll have 17 guests tomorrow, Mark.
Could be. Let me know early. I'll sleep a little later if that's the case.
But Pat Kerwin will join us tomorrow. Right now it is time. It is time.
For?
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
I think I have more birthdays than I have actual stuff that happened on February 24th, but I will go back to 1868 to start, Mark.
All right.
And it is literally the Andrew Johnson administration, because the House voted today nearly 3-1 to impeach President Andrew Johnson. Only had 173 congressmen and women voting in 1868. Got a few more now.
Just a couple.
Yep. On this day in 1924, Gandhi was released from prison.
Saw that in the movie.
1963, Tiny Lund, driving for the Wood Brothers, wins the Daytona 500. He did so, Mark, only 4 pit stops. He did it on fuel mileage. All right. 42 years ago today, USA 4, Finland 2.
To your blanking graves.
If the game, because the U.S. trailed 2-1 going to the third, and obviously we scored 3 unanswered, but even when we scored to take the lead, if Finland had tied, and there's no overtime in Olympic hockey in 1980.
Right.
If Finland had tied the United States, the Soviet Union would have won the gold, because they would have finished tied in points, and the Soviet Union would have won by goal differential. Head-to-head was not the first tiebreaker. Goal differential was. So, big third period, and a necessary third period for the United States. And by the U.S. beating Finland, it secured that Sweden, even though they lost to the Soviet Union after that game, would at least go home with a bronze medal. Mark, on this day in 1981, Prince Charles announces his engagement to Lady Diana Spencer.
And then it began. David Moulton's affinity for the royal family started at that moment.
You know, I don't know if it did. I was not.
Probably with their marriage on TV is when it got you.
I will say it got an unbelievable amount of media attention. Man,
it got a big number.
I mean,
it was on every network, wasn't it?
I mean, Mark, I thought Luke and Laura were getting married. It got so much attention. Look it up. 40 years ago today, Wayne Gretzky scored his 78th goal of the season. That's right, we're in February. His 78th goal, which at the time was the most ever. I say at the time because he ended up that year scoring 92. Yeah. 78th goal, we're in February.
I mean, the fact that he only had 14 more the rest of the way.
I know. Man.
What a slump.
All right, Mark, we have referenced this fight a few times over the years. It was on this day in 1989 that 37-year-old Roberto Duran won the world championship middleweight title, the 4th different weight class that he won the world championship with. In Atlantic City, he won a 12-round split decision against Iran Barkley.
They beat the hell out of one another.
Pretty sure it was the 1989 fight of the year.
They beat the hell out of one another.
On network television. It was on CBS on a weekend. Where are we going here? How about 1998? Elton John knighted by Queen Elizabeth II.
Well done.
Now, Sir Elton John, 24 years ago today. Canada, Mark, beat the U.S. 20 years ago today, 5-2 to win the gold medal in hockey. Joe Sakic, Jerome McGinley with 2 each for the Canadians. Herb Brooks, the head coach of Team USA, was looking to win 2 gold medals as coach, settle for a silver. Fidel Castro retired 14 years ago today as president of Cuba. Jimmy Johnson, 9 years ago today, wins his 2nd Daytona 500. That was the 2013 Daytona 500, the one that Danica was on the pole for and was in 2nd place heading to the final lap and finished 8th. Nobody would draft with her. They didn't trust her in the final lap, and she got hung out to dry.
Where's Keselowski when you need him? He'd have just run her off the.
That's true. He wouldn't have drafted with her, but he would have wrecked her. Would have been a lot of cars behind Keselowski, though. In a big day 2 years ago, an awful day. Harvey Weinstein found guilty of rape, and that was the beginning of the Me Too movement. And also 2 years ago today was the memorial at then Staples Center for Kobe and his daughter. Some great speeches at that memorial, though. And if you get a chance to find Shaq's joke, find it. It's filthy, but it's funny. Honus Wagner, Mark, was born on this day in 1874. Fish. Abe Vigoda.
So happy. I literally have the page stopped for errors and omissions because I was positive you were going to skip over.
Are you kidding?
Legendary actor Abe Vigoda.
Would have been 101 today. Former heavyweight champion. He was the heavyweight who held the title for most of the time between Ali and Frazier. When they stripped Ali of the title, Jimmy Ellis had the title for most of the 3 years. Frazier would beat him in 1970 and become heavyweight champion, and then Frazier obviously was the champion when him and Ali fought again, etc. Jimmy Ellis would have been 82 today. Hall of Famer Fred Dean would have been 70 today, Mark. And Steve Jobs would have been 67 today. Steve Jobs has been dead over 10 years. Phil Knight of Nike fame is 84. Eddie Murray, maybe the most intimidating athlete I've ever had an encounter with in my life. Big, thick.
Didn't like the media.
Huge, strong hands. Didn't like the media. Had a bat in his hand. Was walking through the New York Mets clubhouse in 1992 spring training and was chasing all of the media out because he wanted to have a team meeting. And I was at the very back end of the clubhouse and couldn't hear him, interviewing a bunch of guys who were getting ready to go to Double-A, and that's where I was working in Binghamton, New York. And, we were interviewing future Binghamton Mets. Joe Vitko, Doug Saunders, Chris Butterfield of the world. Numbers 65, 73, 81 in spring training. And Eddie Murray finds the back of the room, and I had my back to him. I didn't see him coming. And he put his claw, Mark, otherwise known as his left hand, on top of my left collarbone, and he grabbed down. And I literally dropped the microphone. It hurt so hard. And he physically turned me around, and he's 6'4", and I'm 5'10". And I knew right away who it was. And he told me to get my ass out of here.
What'd you do?
Got my out of there. Eddie Murray, 66 today. Paul Gruber, former Buck standout at left tackle, 57. Jeff Garcia, the Niners quarterback, 52. Mark, for you, Manon Rhéaume is 50 today.
50.
Alexei Kovalev is 49. Simeon Rice is 48. Going to be Ryder Cup captain. Zach Johnson is 46 today. Floyd Mayweather Jr., money is 45. Leighton Hewitt and Brian Flores both celebrate their 41st birthdays today. Charlotte from Sex and the City, Kristen Davis, is 57. And Mark, George Thorogood is 72. And that's today was the day.
Go order one bourbon, one scotch, and one beer today.
There you go.
And if they say what kind, say, haven't you? 4.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go across the pond for the good, where Tom Quirk has become very creative with his vacuum cleaner and found a new way to enjoy himself with it. Stop, all of you. He is now redoing famous portraits by doing them in rugs with his vacuum cleaner. He has quite a talent. For the Mims, Florida, where Brevard Sheriff posted surveillance video to Facebook showing a man who was attempting to steal a crossbow earlier this month by tucking it in his pants and trying to walk out of the Walmart. Darren Durant was seen on video trying to steal a crossbow by stuffing it down his pants.
Right. That seems dangerous, by the way. I mean, that seems as if you're putting a few things in jeopardy.
He was located in the parking lot of a nearby restaurant where he tried to run away from a deputy before and being arrested and booked into jail. Is that a crossbow in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? Finally, the ugly, we go to Largo, Florida, where Nicole Onique, 21-year-old, went back to her place with her 40-year-old boyfriend. And he thought things were just getting spiced up.
Sure.
Thought he was in a scene from 50 Shades of Grey when she began to slap him. Then she came to hit him. Then she kept hitting him, so much so that he was seeing stars. He figured out at that point it was no longer 50 Shades of Grey. It was 15 rounds of boxing.
That's not good.
The 21-year-old was arrested for domestic battery. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, February the 24th, 2022.
Well, Felipe is going to be exhausted and wound up all at the same time tomorrow because the association is back in action tonight. Woo! A TNT doubleheader, Celtics and Nets at 7:30, Golden State and Portland at 10 o'clock. I would argue game of the night is Memphis and Minnesota. T-Wolves are the 7 seed. Trying to get out of the whole play-in situation. They're 2.5 back of the Nuggets. Memphis, by the way, a game and a half behind Golden State for the 2 seed in the West.
A lot of good college hoop tonight, David. You want to make it to the 9 o'clock games because there are some intriguing mid-major games going on. The first one's Gonzaga. They're on the road at San Francisco. San Francisco's a tournament team. The Zags are a 10-point favorite on the road. Worth watching. Belmont's a bubble team. They're on the road at 19th ranked Murray State. Murray State's only a 3-point favorite. Illinois and Ohio State go at it tonight. The Buckeyes are a 6-point dog at the Illini. And UCLA, a 3-point road favorite at Oregon. St. Mary's at San Diego. Arizona at Utah. And USC at Oregon State. The other games featuring top 25 teams.
UCLA's at Oregon?
And a 3-point favorite.
I thought Oregon played last night and lost to Colorado, and it might have been a makeup game.
It could have been.
So how about that? Hockey, full slate. Panthers in action. They're hosting Columbus. The ESPN game is Capitals Rangers at 7 o'clock. It's a really big game for the Caps. For as good as they are, they're one of the 2 wild cards right now. They're 4 points behind the Rangers. And the Rangers have 2 games in hand. Caps need to get 2 full points tonight, and the Rangers get none, or else I think Washington's going to be a wild card. Mark, right now, the Caps and the Bruins will be the 2 opponents for the 2 division champions in the East. That's not easy first-round sledding. That's like getting Brooklyn, the Heat getting Brooklyn in the first round in the East in the NBA. So
I know you mentioned the Panthers and the Jackets. Panthers are minus 450 tonight.
Don't you have to throw a shekel on the Blue Jackets?
No, Florida lost their last game to Nashville. They're not losing tonight. I wouldn't bet it minus 450, but I wouldn't bet the other way either.
Penguins are minus 300 at home against the Devils. They lost last time out also. Man, those are big numbers there. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin on the show tomorrow on the final Friday of February. We'll see what, if anything, happens today in the baseball negotiations. Which side will make a legitimate offer, or will they give each other the death stare? I'm voting for the death stare.
I think you're probably right. Really enjoyed today's show and all of the comments in the Twitch chat room, all the texts today, people thinking a little bit out of the box. We had an interesting baseball discussion. We don't normally do that. Fun show today. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thanks for doing this. So, nice not to do the same show over and over again.
Exactly. Exactly.
One other big game tonight, women's hoops. FGCU's at Liberty. It'll determine who's the 1 seed in the A-Sun women. Liberty just outside the top 25. Kirsten Bell might come back tonight.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family